વાયા અમદાવાદ જવાના તો આપણે શું વાંધો.
Okay. Shall we
Just a
start?
minute. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, Monak bhai.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So good evening, all the members. First of all, on behalf of VKCPE Study Circle, I would like to congratulate our recently elected WRC RCM members, that is Chintan Bhai Patel and Ishwar Bhai Jiwani. We feel really proud that you are representing us at the WRC platform, and as WRC's main function is to carry out awareness, and here are two members who are carrying out the sessions, coming out with an amazing sessions today. So first of all, as we all know, as a professional accountant, we have to adhere to standards and procedures while doing our functions, and our institute comes out with such standards while we carry out our functions. So one of the important functions is auditing that we perform, and it is very much important that while doing audit, we adhere to the standards that is laid down by our institute. So here we are today organizing a session on significance of auditing standards and revising ourselves to the standards that we have to adhere to. Or we say a revision session today, and we have our eminent speaker who comes on various occasions, that is Chintan Bhai Patel. So we welcome you, Chintan Bhai. So not wasting our time, we would start the session with the ICI motto song. Sanjay sir.
सुप्तेषु जागृति येष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमानः निर्विमानः तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते अमृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकभास्मिन् लोकभाषितः सर्वे तनूनात्यधिकश्चन एतद्द्वैता 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 एतद्द्वैता.
So, as we all know, today we have with us also RCM members here, Ishwar Bhai. So, not wasting time, again, I will invite RCM Ishwar Bhai to deliver a keynote address to all our members. Over to you, Ishwar sir.
Thank you, Monarch Bhai. Respected CA Chintan Bhai Patel, RCM, and today's speaker, Convener CA Sanjay Bhai Selaria, Deputy Convener CA Arun Bhai Viradia, and all my dear members. A very good evening to all of you. I must congratulate.
Sir, video tomorrow off, I think.
Hello.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
First of all, let me congratulate the team VKCPE for keeping this important topic, because the auditing aspect somehow we miss sometime, and the disciplinary mechanism is proceeded with. So one must keep in mind the standards on auditing while doing the audit. Many members do ask me regarding certain questions on which I will request CA Chintan Patel to throw some light. First is whether a CA can put his signature, that is, can he certify the projected balance sheet or the projected financial statements. Second is whether a member of our institute can sign on the provisional balance sheet or provisional financial statements. Two things which are very much relevant for our city, that is Surat. So I will request Chintan Bhai to throw some light on this, and without getting more time, and requesting Chintan Bhai to proceed with the session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so before asking Chintan Bhai, I would like to invite Atul Bhai to give a brief introduction about him. Over to you, Atul Bhai.
Thank you, Monarch. It is my pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, CA Chintan Patel. He is a FCA, CPA, CS certified IFRS, visa, and CISA from US. And as we all know, that he is a regional council member of WRIC of ICI. He is a past chairman of Ahmedabad branch for the year 2017 and 18. During his tenure, Ahmedabad branch got all the best awards of branch and student at quality level, national and regional level. He is a co-author of book on quick guide to INDS and ICDS published by Expert. He is a contributor to Android application called Accounting Auditing Resources. He is a experienced more than 18 years of practicing chartered accountancy. He is a mentor and editor of Knowledge Update channel on YouTube. He is a regular speaker and trainer at various forums with more than 300 presentations in India and outside. He is a chairman of AS India's IFRS Committee of WRSC of ICI for the year 2021. So now with this word, this brief introduction of our today's speaker, I would like to hand over to our today's speaker, CA Chintan Patel. Sir, now you can hand over this session.
Thank you so much, Atul Bhai, for giving introduction of me, and my special thanks to the convener of VKCPE, CA Sanjay Bhai. He has been meticulously planning to ensure that the program happens perfectly. And just look at the time which he has selected. Today, that is 16 February. So yesterday, you all are free from routine work. And this is a time where you may be inclined to learn something new, something different, which is generally ignored. My council colleague Ishwar Bhai has mentioned specifically that this is a point which has been generally ignored by everybody. The auditing to બધાને આવડે છે. Auditing માં શીખવા જેવું શું છે? Even the articles in our office feels audit માં શું શીખવા જેવું છે? મારે તો tax ના issues શીખવા છે. So this is a point where we believe and we have given a less importance, and where we need to really buckle up ourselves, because if this has been ignored for a long, there are a lot of issues as far as the existence of the firm is concerned. And this is not far. We have a look at NAFRA, we look at the way court takes the issues, we look at how the government looks at the importance of the CA. So for all along, the importance of auditing standards is very important. And Monarch Bhai has already talked about the standard of auditing, why it's required. He has wonderful data upon the purpose and reason of looking at the standard of auditing. And thanks to the team VKCP, and my heartiest congratulations to all of you for selecting and giving the wonderful council colleague with us in regional, Ishwar Bhai Jiwani. We are not still elected, but we have shared amazing team spirit before the election, and I am sure that we all are going to do very good for the VKCP, Surat and Gujarat and the whole region in next 3 years. So my heartiest congratulations to each one of you for doing the wonderful choice of election. My heartiest congratulations to all of you for also playing a pivotal role in the Surat branch, where we can see today the office bearers have been elected, 4 office bearers, and also from VKCP you all have selected, and Shailesh Bhai, Lakhan Kiyaji and Dushyant Vitlani, they both have been elected. So my heartiest congratulations to all of you for wonderful participation in this election process. That really gives us a lot of comfort to ensure that what we want is being happen at every level, is it a branch, region or central level. So with this brief word, let me focus on the today's key agenda. And the agenda has been added by my friend and dear council colleague by adding a very important issues which I will have selected to cover during my presentation. But let me take up these issues before I take up audit standards, because as he has rightly touched upon the issues which requires attention of every member. This is not something which only Surat branch members are looking for, but this is something which every member, irrespective of the city, are having issues and confusion. So I think let me first deal upon. Let me first share my presentation, and then I will deal upon the issues. Fine. So the topic which has been given is the significance of standard auditing. And before I delve upon the issues, I am going to touch upon the two critical points which has been highlighted by my council colleague, and then I will deal upon why this auditing standard is required. Then what is the importance of auditing standards? What is the structure of the standard of auditing? And how can we delve into this in our SME practice? Because it is perceived that standard auditing are only for large size audits, but that is not correct. We also have to look upon compliance of standard of auditing at every small and medium sized entities. So how can we do that? Maybe you are inclined to do that, but however, how can you do that? How can we start that? So that is the objective of this particular topic. That at the end of the session, I would like to see that at least you will start complying with one of your audit clients. And if that is done, then the objective of this particular session has been achieved. So to deal with it first, can you sign on projected financial statements? Can you sign on a provisional financial statements? And nowadays, we have received many issues, many queries where the client comes to us and say that, please, sir, sign these financial statements because bank wants. There are many cases where we have seen that we are pressurized by the client because the bank says that this is already signed by many other CAs. Then why your CA is not signing it? So let us first build upon the practical issues which you are facing and of in general nature. There is also an issue called signing or attesting income tax return. Can you do that? So I'm going to deal upon all these 3 points together, and because these are commonly addressed, commonly identified issues. So in case if any client comes to us asking that, kindly please sign this on particular statement because which is required by bank, and if you feel that this is not a requirement of CA, this is just done for the purpose and comfort of the bank officers, we can definitely deny with the help of the UDIN, saying that now everything has been reported in UDIN, and this is not something which is acceptable as a practice which we cannot sign it, and we have to generate UDIN on that. So this is a shelter which is provided by ICI, where you can really use to see that we should not sign unwanted, unrequired signature, because they use साहब हमें खाली साइनेज करवानी है. घड़ी बार जो क्लाइंट आवे मैंने क्लाइंट कह रहे सर हमें खाली साइनेज करवानी है, तो पहले बार बीतो जाए खाली साइन लेसु, खाली साइन जो होतु નથી. It's the sign, and that is what is the most important thing. And sign is not done only for the sake of signing. Signing is means what you have verified, and after verification you confirm this is correct and true and fair. That is what is the obligation has been casted upon on the signature. So if it is only khali sign, तो client को के खाली sign तब करिए ना हो. But why you need is khali sign from CA? Because a CA is required to perform certain duties, certain functions which can be done only by CA, because there is a trust which has been encasted on the CA that when he signed, he is verified, and after verifying he's signing. So there is a lot of responsibility which is cast upon the person, and that's why the CA has been selected. So it is not only signature, it is the most important thing which is the attestation which is required. That's why we have to comply with the procedures which is required by ICI. Now coming back to the questions of, can we sign projected financial statements. If you go back to the code of ethics, and where code of ethics, it says that anything where it is talking about the future or forecasting, we cannot comment or we cannot sign on a forecasted thing. So if you look at the code of ethics, which is prohibiting on signature of signing of all these things, however, we may refer to SAE 3400. During my presentation, I'm also going to focus on how the standards are structured. Standards are primarily looks at assurance standards, and these assurance standards are divided into the various standards. That is the standard of auditing, standard of review engagements, standard of assurance engagements, and then SRS. There is the standards on related services. So this is the way how they all are being structured. Now from that, there is a standard that is called SAE 3400, where they provide a guidance for a prospective or a projected financial statements. So even if you look at the FAQs issued by ICI on UDIN, in UDIN FAQ also there is a mention that are you required to create UDIN for that? Then they provide a yes, you can if you sign, then you are required to create UDIN. But however, when you sign on a projected or prospective financial statements, what is your duty? Your duty should be to really look at compliance of SAE 3400. SAE 3400 provides you a detailed guidance, and whenever you sign on projected financial statements, you are supposed to provide a separate report, and that report should be attached with the projected financial statements. And when you sign, only signature will not be sufficient. You need to sign along with the report, and then the report you have provided all information about the basis of giving report. What is your responsibility? What is the responsible management? Which are the assumptions which are be there? So all this information has been provided in the report, and after giving a report and after performing the expected procedures which is required by the SAE 3400, you can carry out that particular assignment. So in my view, again, signature, there are a lot of court cases where it was been held that if anybody has signed projected financial statements by CA, then it has been held guilty. Why? Because signing only on projected financial statements will give an impact that this is going to happen. But we all know that no one can predict what is going to happen in the future. Then how can we sign? We can sign because there's a guidance provided by ICI, and it says that what you've done, your procedure is to look at the management assertions and assumptions, and based on management assertion assumptions, you are giving the report. So there is a format of report is provided by SAE 3400, and that is to be followed. And even you can't sign as such. There has to be a sign along with the report, and when you sign on that particular financial statements, you have to mention as per report of event date attached. If you look at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs ROC filings in all private limited companies on balance sheet P&L account, there is mention that as per report of event date attached. What do you mean by that? As per report? Because my signature is not a signature, it's not a blanket signature on the financial statements. To understand the significance of the signatures, one is required to look at the report. So whatever procedure, what procedure I followed, what steps I have taken, what is the responsibility of mine, everything has been detailed, scope out in my report. So when we make signature, we need to follow the deep procedures which has been defined by SAE 3400. We need to ensure that that particular the financials where I'm made signature, there's a mention of as per report of event date attached, and the report has been provided along with that particular thing. Then only this can be done. Same way there is a for provisional financial statements. I think what happens in case of March 2022 year ended, there are a lot of clients who have taken bank loan, and bank wants to provide them provisional financial statements just to understand that can they revise the limit or not. So again, for the provisional financial statement also, you cannot blankly sign. You need to perform all your audit procedures. which is required. Like you to ensure that at the end, when the provisional becomes audited, they are a kindly exactly same kind of thing. Plus, there is a standard which is SRS 4410. SRS 4410, which provides guidelines what procedure you need to follow for the purpose of giving and doing these engagements, which is a compilation engagement. Because in provisional financial statement, your procedure is what? Compilation engagement, where you look at the accounts which have been compiled by the particular the client, and then you carry out the procedure with respect to the compilation of the engagement, and then you provide your opinion based on the report. So again, as I discussed in project financial statements, you also have to provide a report as far as SRS 4410 is concerned, along with the provisional financial statements, and need to ensure as per report of event date attached. So these are the two things which we do understand, that this is something which first should be avoided, because without performing anything, if we put some signature, that it is providing a different meaning altogether. However, if you are being engaged for a particular procedure, then you have to follow the procedures. After following procedures, your report should be able to provide the information about what is your responsibility, what is the procedure you have performed. Then you can provide your report, and then you can give a signature where you make reference to that report, and the both should be done together. Then our duty has been done appropriately. So these are the two very important things which Ishwar Bhai has raised, and I'm also going to cover it during my presentation, but better to cover in the start because this is something which is critical. Coming to third point, which I feel that again, which has been repeatedly asked by many members, is about, can you do true copy of income tax return? And if you look at the Union FAQ issued by ICI, it again puts up the point that income tax return true copy, if it is done by CA, it is not actually required. Chartered accountants are not official gazetted, official gazetted person who can do true copy. So when you do true copy, it is like somebody who is official gazetted to be qualified. However, if you do true copy, it doesn't have any value. But there is a need, there is a requirement from bank. So first, what is most important thing I generally do is that I say that no, this I cannot do that, because if we allow our clients to get its signature of us, they will get it signed. They will ask us to sign every piece of paper. Sir, abi sign kari nakon, abi se kari nakon, ama su sign karwani chahiye na. So I think we have to be very cautious about every signature. And as the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the signature of a chartered accountant is more important than the signature of Prime Minister. So any signature which is done is not only for the purpose of doing signing, it has a value. So we should not sign if it is not required. If the client says, sir, આ 10 પેપર છે, પહેલા માં કરો છે પાછળ કરી નાખો કારણ કે મને ધક્કો ના પડે. ક્લાયન્ટ ના ધક્કા ના પડે એટલા માટે આપણે સાઇન કરીશું. ક્લાયન્ટ નો ધક્કો ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે કે મારી સિગ્નેચર ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. I think we need to, as a unity, we need to create these kind of things. કારણ કે ઘણી વખત ક્લાયન્ટ કે બેંક આપણા પર પ્રેશર પાડતી હોય છે કે યાર તમારા સીએ આવું કેમ કરે છે, મારે તો જો આ મારે આટલા સીએ સાઇન કરીને આપી છે, આ કેમ ના પડે છે. So I think this is the platform, the study circle VKCP is the platform, or every study circle branch is platform where we all can come to the case that why shall we sign for something which is not required? Why shall we increase our responsibility where there is no requirement? The bank officer wants only to safeguard himself. કાલે ઉઠીને થાય તો સાહેબ મને ખબર નહીં જો સીએ ની સાઇન છે. And truly believe મારા કેસમાં ક્લાયન્ટ એવું થયું કે સર આ સાઇન કરો. મેં કહ્યું why is required? He said sir આ જો મારા બેંકમાં માંગે છે તો બેંક વાળાને મેં કહ્યું કે તું એમ કર, મને બેંક જોડે વાત કરાય. So bank officer જોડે I talk, I said that ભાઈ why you are asking these things? He said sir this is required, this is requirement of our bank and every CA is doing it. I said this is no requirement, I have to generate UDIN, and for generating UDIN I cannot do signing for everything. So I said do one thing, voice signing is not very important for me, but yes, I am there to support client. Doesn't mean that I will do something which is not required. If you share with me your SOP of bank or any RBI circular which requires you that these to be signed by the CA, I will be more than happy to support my client and do signature. He said, yes sir, my available છે, હું તમને આપી દઈશ. I said, fine, no issue. Just give me the copy of SOP of your bank and or RBI circular. I will definitely do it. Even though you give SOP of your bank, I'm okay. He didn't give me anything, and the client also understood that I was too khali requirement, and then he understood. He accepted the client's letter. So RBI has also made it very clear that કોઈ આવી રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ એ લોકોએ બેંક આરબીઆઈ નથી કરી. ઇવન બેંક્સની અંદર પણ એવી કોઈ રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ નથી. પણ બેંકના જે ઓફિસર હોય છે ને, એ ઓફિસર ઘણી વખત એમની રિસ્પોન્સિબિલિટી ઓછી કરવા માટે એન્ડ દે ફીલ કે સીએ તો સાઇન કરી આપશે જ ને, સીએ ક્યાં જવાના છે, અને બે સીએ સાઇન કરશે એટલે બીજા 20 સીએ સાઇન કરશે, કારણ કે એમને કહેવાનું જો પીલાઈ બી સાઇન કરવી છે, એક જ જણ સાઇન કર્યું છે તો બી બીજા 10 સીએ સાઇન કરશે, કારણ કે એ તો ખાલી એક જ સીએ બતાવશે, and then all other CA will do it. So I think we all have to really come into one place saying that આવી વસ્તુમાં આપણે નથી પડવું. Only when there's a need we should do it. Whenever we do some signature, we do perform the attestation procedures, the guidance provided by ICI on standard of auditing, SRS, SS, and then after performing only we can provide a signature with the report attached, and in the report we have detailed provide our scope, our limitation, everything we provided. So that is what I would like to say here. And coming back to on questions on income tax return copy. So CA is not a gazetted, officially gazetted person who can do true copy. So we should avoid. That is what ICI is saying. Doesn't mean that we are prohibiting it. But still, if the client wants no sign karya po, so then we need to perform the procedure which is required to check and see that the ITR which I am signing are exactly the same which is in income tax department website. We can also look at competition income, and then we can provide a report on that, and along with the report, along with the signature, yes, we can also do that engagement. So at the end, the focus and objective is that only signing should not be done. Signing is nothing but attestation. Attestation means what? We take responsibility, and when we take responsibility, we need to follow the particular standards which have been provided, and there has to be a report which provides the guidelines to somebody who is getting the signature, because that we are providing that આમે સાઇન ચેક કર્યું છે, આમે સાઇન કર્યું છે, પણ મેં આ ચેક કર્યું છે, મને જવાબદારી આ છે અને ક્લાયન્ટ જવાબદારી આ છે, એ કમ્પ્લીટલી ડિટેલમાં હોવું જોઈએ. Now coming to the next point, that why there is a need of standard of auditing. I think we'll go back to the main objective, that the audit report. If you just look at the audit report, and હું પૂછું કોઈને ક્વેશ્ચન કે તમારા બધાના અત્યારના 2020-21 ના ફાઇનાન્શિયલ સ્ટેટમેન્ટ્સ ચેક થઈ ગયા છે, ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટ જે છે એ ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટ પણ આપણે આપી દીધો છે. એન્ડ ઇફ આઈ આસ્ક a question to all of you કે કેટલા લોકોએ ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટ આખો વાંચ્યો છે, right? So anybody, આપણે 103 લોકો છે. I think there are few questions are there. I will deal with the question also. There are 103 person is there. However, that can anybody say who has read before signing 10, 20, 30, 40 audit report? Have you gone through and read? How many of you understand that એમાં શું લખ્યું છે અને એમાં શું objective છે? તો hardly there'll be a few person જે લોકોએ audit report વાંચ્યો હશે. Fine. So let us look at what paragraph which is there in audit report. And in opinion paragraph, we are mentioning that we conducted our audit in accordance with the standards on auditing specified under section 143 subsection 10 of the act. तो આપણા ઓપિનિયન ની અંદર આપણે લખીએ છીએ કે ભાઈ મારું ઓડિટ મેં સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ કમ્પ્લાયન્સ માં સેક્શન 143(10) which talks about this thing that મેં એમાં એવું છે કે 143(10) ની અંદર એવું કહે છે કે ગવર્નમેન્ટ ઓફ ઇન્ડિયા in consultation with NAFRA can specify standard of auditing which is to be followed. So મારું ઓડિટ અને મારું ઓપિનિયન જે છે that is in compliance with standard of auditing. હવે આ ઓપિનિયન લખીએ છીએ અને પછી આપણે આપણો ઓપિનિયન આપવાનો છે. but sadly very few are aware about these requirements. કેમ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓડિટ નહીં કરવાનું? કારણ કે we believe ICAI કહે છે કરો 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 એટલે કરવાનો છે. But no, this is again covered under compulsory 2013 also, where and in every audit report આપણે મેન્શન કરીએ છીએ કે જે ઓડિટ મેં રિપોર્ટ આપું છું that is in compliance with the standard of auditing. ઇનિશિયલ પીરિયડ ફેઝ ઓફ આપણા જે ડિસ્કશન જે કર્યું એમાં મોનાર્કભાઈ અને ઈશ્વરભાઈએ વાત કરી કે ધ ઓડિટિંગ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડનું ઇમ્પોર્ટન્સ શું છે અને કેમ છે. પ્રાઇમ મિનિસ્ટર મોદીની વાત કરી અને બધાને યાદ છે કે જુલાઈ 1 જુલાઈ 2017 જ્યારે પ્રાઇમ મિનિસ્ટરે વાત કરી આપણે બધાને ચાપકો લાગ્યું કે ભાઈ at this national event somebody is talking about the ICAI this fashion. બહુ કઠોર વાતમાં કંપની પર કડવી વાત કરી હતી અને ગવર્મેન્ટ સ્ટેન્ડ વોઝ વેરી ક્લિયર કે ભાઈ જેની જે જવાબદારી છે એ જવાબદારી બરાબર કરવી જોઈએ. If you just look at, he was like acting as the senior person in the family and trying to scold somebody કે ભાઈ તમે તમારી જવાબદારી આ છે તો તમે કરો. અને ઘણા બધા જે સ્કેમ થયા છે એ સ્કેમની અંદર પણ આપણે ખબર છે કે સત્યમનો સ્કેમમાં પણ ઓડિટિંગ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ્સ પર ઓડિટર્સ પર ઇન્ટ્રો ઓડિટર્સ સ્ટેચ્યુટરી ઓડિટ પર ઇસ્યુ થયા હતા. રિસેન્ટલી ILFS કેસની અંદર પણ જ્યારે વાત થઈ ત્યારે પણ થયું કે ભાઈ વોટ ઇઝ ધ રોલ ઓફ ધ ઓડિટર અને ઓડિટર શું કરે છે. સો આઈ થિંક ઘણી બધી જગ્યાએ ક્વેશ્ચન ઓડિટરનો આવ્યો છે. ઓડિટરના ક્વેશ્ચનમાં આજે જ્યારે ઇસ્યુ થયો છે ને ત્યારે the only one thing which can help you is what? Standard for auditing compliance. Because તમે શું કહ્યું છે, તમે એવું કહ્યું છે કે I have given my opinion in compliance or in accordance with the standard of auditing. તો જો standard of auditing ને મેં કમ્પ્લાય કર્યું હોય અને મારી પાસે ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન હોય કે standard of auditing કમ્પ્લાયન્સ કર્યા પછી મેં ઓપિનિયન આપ્યો છે, so then that will act as a shield to me if some question is arising about the opinion. It's only opinion. Opinion ma negative positive બધું હોઈ શકે છે. So the standard of auditing is something which provides me guidance. Also it acts as a shield that ભાઈ મેં આના કમ્પ્લાયન્સ માં કર્યું છે, મારી પાસે આના ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન છે, પેપર છે, મેં આ પ્રમાણે બધું ચેક કર્યું છે અને મને આ મળ્યું છે. So standard of auditing will really help as at a guiding tool and it really makes a matter. So in my view the audit profession je che it has completely changed. પહેલા એવું હતું કે ભાઈ ઓડિટર માં તો શું કરવાનું, કશું ના કરવાનું હોય, એ તો ક્લાયન્ટ એ એકાઉન્ટ્સ લઈને આવે, કમ્પ્લાયન્સની રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ છે, સાઇન આપણે ચેક કરવાનું છે, ક્લાયન્ટ મને ફી કેમ આપે છે બીકોઝ he is under compulsory to pay fees. અને મારે શું કરવાનું, મારે કશું નથી કરવાનું બીકોઝ આઈ એમ ધ કિંગ. હવે એવું નથી રહ્યું. હવે એવું છે કે હું જ્યારે સાઇન કરું છું ને તો સાઇનમાં મારી જવાબદારી છે એનું ભાન આપણને થયું છે. લાસ્ટ 2 વર્ષ 5 વર્ષની અંદર આપણને એ ભાન થયું છે કે સિગ્નેચર ઇઝ નોટ ઓથોરિટી, ઇટ ઇઝ અ રિસ્પોન્સિબિલિટી. ઘણા લોકો કદાચ સીએ કેમ થયા, ઘણા લોકો સીએ થયા ત્યારે કેમ સીએ થયા, કારણ કે મેં અમુક લોકો વાત કરી કે મને હું જે નાનો હતો ત્યારે મને મેં એવું સાંભળ્યું હતું જેમ ભણતો હતો બીકોમમાં કે 12થમાં કે સીએ કરવાનો તો જલસા, કેમ કે ખાલી સાઇન કરવા પૈસા મળે. એટલે આપણે સારું યાર આ તો જબરદસ્ત કહેવાય, ખાલી સાઇન કરવા પૈસા મળે, હું તો સાઇન કરી જ જવું અને જેટલી સાઇન કરું મને પૈસા મળ્યા કરે તો કેટલું મજા આવે આપણને. તો that was also motivation for many to do CA. હવે એવું છે કે સારા સાઇન કરવાની મજા નથી, સાઇન કરવાની જવાબદારી છે અને એ જવાબદારી છે એટલે સાઇનની વેલ્યુ છે. જે પોઈન્ટ ઓફ ટાઈમમાં એવું થશે કે સાઇન એ મજા છે અને સાઇનની જવાબદારી નથી, તો I think over the period the brand and image of ICAI is reduced because sign has been taken as an authority and as a right, not as a responsibility. But yes, we need to understand the fact that signature is nothing but it is giving a bearer check that yes, I have signed, I have checked and confirmed, and then you will rely on these things, and that is the bearer check which is provided with the signature that yes, you can rely on this because I have signed. Sign is what I have gone through, and then signature. So when I have gone through and signed, I have done compliance with standard of auditing. So we all have to be really looking for these things. A peer review, quality review board, FRRB, NAFRA, આ બધી જ વસ્તુઓ ના નામ છેલ્લા 5 વર્ષમાં બધાએ ઘણી વખત સાંભળ્યા હશે, જે કદાચ આટલા વર્ષોમાં આપણે સાંભળ્યા નહીં હોય. I think couple of days back, ICI has revised the coverage of a peer review. પહેલા એવું હતું peer review એ અમુક જ પર્ટિક્યુલર ફર્મમાં લાગુ પડે અને બીજામાં એ સેમ્પલ સિલેક્શન જેવું હતું. એ આવી જાય તો આવી જાય, ના આવી જાય. ખાલી લિસ્ટેડ કંપની ઓડિટ કરતા હોય તો જ peer review કરવું કમ્પલસરી હતું સેબીની રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ પ્રમાણે. હવે એવું છે કે peer review ની અંદર એ લોકોએ જે કવરેજ જે છે એ કવરેજ વધારીને ઇવન ધો ઇટ ઇઝ અ પબ્લિક અનલિસ્ટેડ કંપની, તેમાં અમુક ક્રાઇટેરિયા સ્પેસિફાઈ કર્યો છે. પ્રાઇવેટ લિમિટેડ કંપની, કોઈક સીએ ફર્મ જેમાં 4 થી વધારે પાર્ટનર હોય, 5 થી વધારે પાર્ટનર્સ હોય, એવા લોકોને પણ કમ્પલસરી પીએ રિવ્યુમાં લાવવાના. એ કવરેજ એ જસ્ટ 2 દિવસ પહેલા આઈસીઆઈ એનાઉન્સમેન્ટમાં એ લોકોએ એને વધાર્યો છે. સો ઇન નેક્સ્ટ 3 to 4 years ઘણી બધી સીએ ફર્મ પીએ રિવ્યુમાં એડ થશે. યસ, there is a question on the quality of peer review. કારણ કે કેવું થાય કે ભાઈ મને પોતાને ખબર છે કે કેવા ઇશ્યુઝ છે. બીકોઝ કોઈ સીએ ની સામે કોઈ એક્શન લેવાય, ઇફ સમબડી આસ્ક ક્વેશ્ચન કે ભાઈ આ સીએ આવી કેમ ભૂલ કરી, તો હું પોતે મારી જાતને રિસેબલ કરું છું. બીકોઝ ઇવન ધો આઈ એમ ગિવ લેક્ચર્સ ઓન સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓડિટિંગ doesn't mean that I have 100% compliance. I am improving. Every year we are trying to improve it. There are a lot of things which need to be improved. So when something has been done, I can understand exactly that how we are functioning. What is responsibility on our shoulder? Articles મળતા મળે છે નથી મળતા, લાસ્ટમાં ક્લાયન્ટ આવ્યો છે, છેલ્લે કેવી રીતે મહેનત કરીશું આપણે. We have also a lot of issues and struggle as far as ensuring that our practice grows and remains same, where the challenges are increased. So આ બધાજની સામે I think the more we have to really ensure that આપણે motivated રહીએ અને standard of auditing compliance કરીએ. So let us look at the next point on basic significance of standard of auditing. That is what the main topic here. Advantages of compliance standard of auditing. That is first, along with the compliance of standard of auditing, it also your audit also helps and happens in a structured manner. Structured manner નો હું તમને તમારે આજે કોઈ ઓડિટ કરવાનું છે અને તમને કહે કે ઓડિટ આપણે બેસ્ટ કરવું છે, સારામાં સારું ઓડિટ કરવું છે. What do you mean by સારામાં સારું ઓડિટ કરવું છે? Where is the principles, where is the principles which provides you what is the best audit? How can you get guidance? આર્ટિકલ શીટમાં જે જોયું હોય એ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ છે? જરૂરી નથી. Lot of years has lapsed between the period when the article was done. At that time, શું legal system હતી, શું requirement હતી, શું expectation હતી, એની ને આજમાં બહુ ડિફરન્સ છે. તો how can we know what is the best way to do audit? Please look at the standard of auditing. The standard of auditing provides you guidance. If you follow standard of auditing, you are risk assured about the structured manner of doing audit. And if you follow some principles, some standards, definitely the chances of omission, chances that something is not being verified. At the end, when you are signing it, you are not sure કે બધું ચેક થયું છે બરાબર. આપણે પૂછીએ આપણા સબઓર્ડિનેટ ને આર્ટિકલ ને ભાઈ બધે બરાબર ચેક કર્યું છે ને, એ કે હા હા સાહેબ બધું ચેક કર્યું છે. એટલે એના આપણે ફેસ પર જોઈએ, ના ફેસ પર કોન્ફિડન્સ દેખાય તો આપણે કોન્ફિડન્સ વધી જાય. ભાઈ એવું નહીં, આપણે એના પેપર્સ જોવા પડે. ભાઈ તારા ડોક્યુમેન્ટ્સ લઈને આવ્યા, ડોક્યુમેન્ટ્સમાં જો એને પ્રોપરલી ચેકલિસ્ટ ભર્યા હોય, ક્વેશ્ચનની આન્સર રિપ્લાય આપ્યો હોય, તો ધેન ઇટ ગિવ્સ કમ્ફર્ટ કે આ ચલો ભાઈ એને આ દરેક પોઈન્ટ જોયા. બાકી એનું જેટલું નોલેજ છે ને એટલું કમ્ફર્ટ આપણને મળે. માણસો ચેન્જ થયા કરતા હોય છે, આર્ટિકલ ચેન્જ થયા કરતા હોય છે, સ્ટાફ ચેન્જ થયા કરતા હોય છે. આજે આપણે સાઇન કર્યું છે અને કાલે ક્વેશ્ચન આવશે ને ત્યારે કોઈ અવેલેબલ નહીં હોય. The person who is signing is only responsible. ઘણીવાર આપણે સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓડિટિંગ કમ્પ્લાયન્સ નથી કરતા, એનું કારણ એવું છે કે પહેલી વસ્તુ એવું છે કે આપણે પાસે ટાઈમ હંમેશા કમી હોય છે. ટાઈમની કમી કેમ હોય છે? કારણ કે પ્લાનિંગ નથી કરતા. પ્લાનિંગ કરીએ તો બી ટાઈમની કમી હોય છે, છતાં પણ આપણે નથી કરતા. કેમ? કે યાર સ્ટાફ તો બહુ બિઝી છે, સ્ટાફ પાસે ટાઈમ ક્યાં છે? સ્ટાફ બચારો આ કામ કરે કારણ કે વી કેર અબાઉટ અવર સ્ટાફ, વી કેર અબાઉટ આર્ટિકલ and we don't care about ourselves. કારણ કે it is assume કે ભાઈ સાઇનમાં શું, because સિગ્નેચર ની ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ આપણે પોતાને નથી, તો એમને ક્યાંથી રહેવાની છે. The person who is at the biggest risk is us. આપણે પોતે એક રિસ્ક પર છીએ, અને if I don't care about myself, how my staff and articles going to care? જો હું જ કહીશ કે યાર ટાઈમ ક્યાં છે, બરાબર ને યાર, તો પછી એમને બધા ટાઈમ એનીવે નથી. 10 થી 6 નો ટાઈમ મારો ઓફિસનો છે, તો 6 વાગે બધા નીકળી જશે, અને 6 વાગ્યાના ટાઈમની અંદર પણ ઘણી બધી વસ્તુ એવી હોય કે જ્યાં આગળ એ લોકો છતાં બી કામ બાકી રહેવાનું છે, 8 વાગે નીકળી જશે તો બી કામ બાકી રહેવાનું, આખી રાત જાગશે તો પણ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓડિટિંગ નહીં થાય, કારણ કે એ that is not a priority. If it is not a priority of the person who is signing, how can it be priority for the staff? How can it be priority for articles? આજે મેં સાઇન કર્યું અને 2 વર્ષ 4 વર્ષ પછી if some question come into mind, who is responsible? It's only I am responsible. ત્યારે સ્ટાફ હશે નહીં હોય, આર્ટિકલ હશે કે નહીં હોય, ક્લાયન્ટ હશે કે નહીં હોય, ડોક્યુમેન્ટ હશે કે નહીં હોય, but I am the only person who is at risk. એટલે આ કેવું છે કે આ વસ્તુને આપણે ઘણી વખત પ્રાયોરિટી નથી આપતા, વિથ ધ હોપ કે ભાઈ સ્ટાફ મારો બચારો કેટલું કામ કરે, પણ એ સ્ટાફ આર્ટિકલ ગમે તેટલું કામ કરે કે ના કરે, આપણું કામ જો મોસ્ટ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે ને એ છે કે જ્યારે આપણી પાસે ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન હોય, જે ઓડિટ કર્યું, જે ચેક કર્યું છે એનું ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન હોય, ક્લાયન્ટની જોડે આપણે કામ કરતા હોઈએ, ક્લાયન્ટ કે ચાલશે, પણ જ્યારે ઇશ્યુ થશે ને ક્લાયન્ટ પણ આપણી જોડે ઉભો નહીં હોય. Given choice, જ્યારે ક્લાયન્ટની સામે ક્વેશ્ચન હોય અને આપણી જે ક્વેશ્ચન્સ હોય, ડુ યુ એક્સપેક્ટ ધેટ ક્લાયન્ટ વિલ સે ના હું ખોટો હતો, મારો સી સાચો હતો? ના. એ વખતે સિચ્યુએશન એવી હશે કે ત્યારે માત્ર ને માત્ર આપણે રિસ્પોન્સિબલ હશે, બીજું કોઈ આપણને કામમાં નહીં, ખાલી આપણે ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન કામમાં આવશે. Again, it helps to have in-depth understanding of audit engagement, because when you follow the standard of auditing, એમાં ઘણા બધી વસ્તુ લખી છે, એમાં તમે ફોલો કરો સ્ટેપ બાય સ્ટેપ, તો એની અંદર એ અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડિંગ જે છે ઓડિટ એન્ગેજમેન્ટની એ આપણને ઇન ડેપ્થ આવી જાય, because it is talking about knowing your business, knowing the client, and then it takes you to the granular level. So it really provides a lot of comfort to you. Identification of focus or critical areas, because step by step તમે જે ફોલો કરો ત્યારે એ step by step process ની અંદર it will also guide to focus on few points જે ઘણી મિસ આઉટ થઈ જતા હોય છે. As a CA, we have more idea, awareness about where one should go for, પણ આપણે પોતે ચેક નથી કરતા. Audit is not done by us. આપણે ખાલી ક્લાયન્ટ નો માઇન્ડસેટ, લાસ્ટ ટાઈમ નો આપણો અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડિંગ ઓફ ધ ક્લાયન્ટ, understanding clients business, his mindset, our relation for so many years, his past practices, and his financials, overall understanding, that is driving our signature, that is driving that. But however, we have to aware that the staff article should be driven not by these. જો બધા જ લોકો એ લાસ્ટ ટાઈમ નું જોશે અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડિંગ, તો પછી સ્ટાફ આર્ટિકલ ના મારે વચ્ચે ડિફરન્સ શું છે, રાઈટ? સો that's why they need to follow the rigorous process of going through compliance with standard of auditing. If you go there in a structure manner, I think that will give you a lot of comfort, that you are able to identify a problematic areas, focus on that areas, the errors or chances can be reduced, and one very important thing, the benefit. And દરેક માં શું બેનિફિટ, આપણે મારે તો ઠીક છે, આ તો કોસ્ટ છે, મને શું ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી? કાલે જીએસટી નું કોઈ લેક્ચર હોય, ઇન્કમ નું લેક્ચર હોય, રેરા નું લેક્ચર હોય, જેમાં ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી મળતી હોય, બધા જ લોકો એ ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી માટે ભાગે છે. પણ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ માટે શું? કારણ કે એ આઈસીઆઈ કમ્પલસરી 2 CPA વર્ષ કયા છે. સો આઈસીઆઈ 2 CPA વર્ષ કમ્પલસરી કયા છે? કેમ કયા છે? કારણ કે this is something, if we ignore for a long period, we are definitely going to make a huge mistake, and it is going to affect the branding of ICI, because ICI brand is not built by a president of ICI, not built by the central council of ICI, it is not built by the regional council, it is not built by the branch managing committee, it is built by every member of ICI. આજે એક સીએ 2 સીએ પણ આખા ઇન્ડિયામાં કઈ ઇશ્યુ કરશે ને તો મીડિયામાં આવવાનું છે, અને એનાથી એક ICI ની જે ઇમેજ છે એમાં ફરક પડે છે. સો ધેટ્સ વાય વી હેવ ટુ રિયલી એન્શ્યોર કે સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ અને જેટલા પણ કમ્પ્લાયન્સી છે એ બધા જ આપણને યુઝફુલ છે. અને તમે જો એ સ્મોલ મીડિયમ સાઇઝ ક્લાયન્ટ્સમાં તમે ફોલો કરશો તો then you are really able to basically handle the large client. કારણ કે તમને ખબર છે કે મારે લાર્જ ક્લાયન્ટ માટે મારે આ જ પ્રોસિજરને મારે કેરી ફોર કરવાના છે. અત્યારે હું તમને રિલાયન્સ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝના ઓડિટર મળી જાઓ, then are you in a position to really do justice to that audit? Answer is no. Yeah, I'm not that. Why? Because we have not been able to perform, we are not able to look at the compliance in this fashion. So if we start following for a small, medium clients, certain tricky clients, then yes, for large clients you are available. Second thing, it will also increase your brand image. Client will be able to understand you are different. The differentiation between the small practitioners, between some practitioners who are not structured and somebody who are structured is compliance of a standard of auditing. When you ask client to sign management revision letter, client will sign it. Will also have a mind in impression in his mind કે આ સાલું આ તો યાર જબરદસ્ત છે, આવું તો મેં જોયું નથી નવું, રાઈટ? સો કોઈને સિગ્નેચર જ્યારે બધું સારું હોય ત્યાં કોઈ સાઇનની ક્વેશ્ચન નથી હોતો, બટ ધીસ ઓલ provides a lot of impact that આ માણસ આ બધું જ properly check કરતો હોય. This is just a documentation evidences of the audit which is done with the quality. We will focus on the right area of financial statements. Quality of audit increases when you do that, and setting of materiality, scientifically samplings, and efficiency of auditing increases. So these are a lot of things where we can do it. Let me just look at chat box. I think there are a few questions which was earlier asked by somebody. Okay, Mohit bhai, please also guide us what to take care while certifying the stock statement with the sundry debtors and creditors for submission to bank for calculation of CC limit. Mohit bhai, again I think the most important thing એક જ છે કે stock statement જ્યારે આપણે ચેક કરીએ ત્યારે ફર્સ્ટ કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ ચેક કરીએ તો what I do generally કે મને ક્લાયન્ટ કે ભાઈ તમારે ખાલી આ સાઇન કરવાની છે, તો હું એક પહેલા મને જે સાઇન કરવાની છે ને તો પહેલા મને એ વસ્તુ બતાવે. એમાં હું શું સાઇન કરું છું, what assurance I'm giving it, that first I have to understand. તો સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ જ્યારે હું સાઇન કરું ત્યારે મારો એશ્યોરન્સ શું હોય છે, લેસ ધેન 6 months, મોર ધેન 6 months, સર્ટિ ડેટર્સની અંદર એજિંગની અંદર શું હોય છે, સ્ટોક સ્ટેટમેન્ટ હું શું આપું છું, રિમોટેડ WFG, તો એ બધામાં મારું અશ્યોરન્સ હું શું આપું છું, what I am certifying, that first we to understand. અને એ કર્યા પછી આપણે એ સમજવું જોઈએ કે આ ચેક કરવા માટે મારી પાસે શું ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન હોવા જોઈએ. સો વી નીડ ટુ સેન્ડ અવર ટીમ. આપણે સ્ટોક રજિસ્ટર છે કે નહીં ક્લાયન્ટ પાસે એ જોવાનું, એની કોપી રાખવો. સ્ટોક રજિસ્ટર પાસે એ ચેક કરીને તમે એના મેનેજમેન્ટના સાઇન સ્ટેટમેન્ટ લઈને ગેટ ઇટ વેરીફાઈડ. ક્લાયન્ટને બી લાગવું જોઈએ કે એમને બધું સાઇન નહીં થાય, તો યુ સેન્ડ અ ટીમ ટુ વેરીફાઈ ઇટ, because અને પછી after following the due procedure we can sign it. Yes, bank bhi unit is required આના માટે. I think આ question same question છે, fine. Okay, coming to the next point is on audit process flow. આજે મેં process flow લખ્યો છે ને એ બહુ જ process flow simple માં લખ્યો છે, એટલા માટે કે આ બધો જ પ્રોસેસ ફ્લો બધાને જ ખબર છે, બધા જ આને ફોલો કરે છે. પહેલો પોઈન્ટ હંમેશા એવો આવે કે કોમ્યુનિકેશન વિથ ધ પ્રીવિયસ ઓડિટર, રાઈટ? that is the acceptance. Before you accept, we also need to look at that we need to communicate with the previous auditor. આમાં જ્યારે આપણે બહુ જ ધ્યાનથી વિચારવાની જરૂર એ છે, જ્યારે કોઈ પણ નવું કામ આપણી પાસે આવે ત્યારે આપણે થોડા હરખ પદુડા થઈ જઈએ કે આ નવું કામ આવ્યું આપણી પાસે, ચલો લઈ લઈએ, આપણે કામ ચાલુ કરી નાખીએ, ફટાફટ કામ કરી નાખીએ. કામ ક્લાયન્ટ તો પેલા જે સીએ કામ બરાબર બગાડ્યું છે એટલે આવ્યો છે. કારણ કે જ્યારે બી નવું કામ આવે તો પહેલા આપણે ક્લાયન્ટને પૂછીએ ભાઈ શું થયું, કેમ પાછો આવ્યો છે. આઈ થિંક ફર્સ્ટ વી વિલ અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડ ધ રીઝન વાય સમવન ઇઝ ચેન્જિંગ ધ સીએ. બધા CA પોતાનો બેસ્ટ કરે છે, because every CA wants that client to be retained. So every CA is doing their best work. Still the client is changing. So I think first point for all of us is that to understand the reason for changing. તમે ક્લાયન્ટને પૂછો રીઝન શું છે, તો ક્લાયન્ટ કહેશે કે યાર આને આ બરાબર નથી કર્યું, આને આ ભૂલ કરી નાખી, આને તે ભૂલ કરી નાખી, આવું કરી નાખ્યું, આ બરાબર નથી, તે બરાબર નથી. સો બધા જ નેગેટિવ થિંગ્સ એ CA માટે બોલશે. I think we have to be first very sure that we should not utter any negatives about any of our professional colleagues. Every CA is my professional colleague and we must respect other CA. And because we don't know the truth. Unless until we know both sides, we cannot say somebody is wrong. આજે ક્લાયન્ટ મારી પાસે આવ્યો છે, કાલે આ જ ક્લાયન્ટ મારી પાસેથી બીજા પાસે જવાનો છે અને ત્યારે એ ક્લાયન્ટ મારા વિશે ખરાબ બોલશે. ક્લાયન્ટને એવું લાગે છે કે આ લોકો ડિવાઇડેડ છે અને મને કામ મળે છે તો હું તો એ કામ લઈ લેવાનો છું અને પેલા સીએનું જે થવું થવાનું છે. That is not correct. I think that is the reason why ICI started with the NOC, no objection certificate. But my dear friends, NOC જે છે ને એ આપણે ખાલી NOC તરીકે નથી લાવવાનું, આપણે એમાં હાર્ટ મૂકવાની જરૂર છે. હાર્ટ એ છે કે NOC જ્યારે આપણે લઈએ, NOC નો ઓબ્જેક્ટિવ શું છે કે I have to understand the reason behind that particular change. One. Second thing, he is my professional colleague. Any fees unpaid કરીને ભાગી જાય તો એ કાલે મારી ફીસમાં પણ હેરાન ઇશ્યુ કરશે જ. એન્ડ આઈ એમ શ્યોર કે ઘણા લોકોને એવા ઇશ્યુઝ થયા હશે, ઘણા લોકોએ એક્સપિરિયન્સ બી કર્યો હશે કે કોઈ ક્લાયન્ટ આપણી પાસે આવ્યો હોય, આવી રીતે ચેન્જ કરીને અને એ ક્લાયન્ટ આપણી પાસે જતો બી રહ્યો હોય અને એને જેવા લફડા પહેલા કર્યા એવા લફડા આપણી જોડે બી કર્યા હોય. તો આ એક ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી છે જ્યાં આગળ આપણે એક ઇન્ટરનલી એક ઇન્ટિમસી લેવલ, આપણા બધાની યુનિટી લેવલ બતાવવાની જરૂર છે, જ્યાં આગળ ક્લાયન્ટને કહીએ કે ભાઈ જો basically what is first, let me understand reason from you. Second thing is that there is a requirement in our ICI that we need to take no objection certificate from our previous auditor. And as per the requirement, one, I need to understand reason from him. Second thing is that we need to ensure that his audit fees are not remaining unpaid. These two things are very critical that we also need to talk with the client. આપણે કોઈ ઉતાવળ કરવાની જરૂર નથી. કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ ક્લાયન્ટ જો એ ચેન્જ થવાનો કરશે જ, આવવાનો જ છે. બટ આ જે ક્રુશિયલ ટાઈમ જે છે એ ચેન્જ ઓવરનો, એમાં આપણે એ બહુ બેલેન્સ રહીને કરવાનું છે કે ક્લાયન્ટને સમજાવવું છે કે ભાઈ આ મારી એક પ્રોસિજર છે એન્ડ ધેટ આઈ વિલ ફોલો. સો દેન યુ આસ્ક ક્લાયન્ટ કે તમે સીએ જોડે વાત કરો, એના જે બી ઇશ્યુઝ છે સોર્ટ આઉટ કરો, એન્ડ ટુમોરો આઈ વિલ ટોક વિથ સીએ. So the client need to talk with the CA, he need to get comfort from the CA, and then next day you call with CA before giving just a letter. તમે કોઈને ખાલી લેટર આપી દો સાઇન કરવા માટે, એને કે હા શું થઈ ગયું યાર, અને CA વિચારે ગાળો આપે કે યાર આજો મારું કામ લઈ લીધું, મારે આમ કરી નાખ્યું, તેમ થઈ ગયું ક્લાયન્ટ, અને પછી ખોટા લફડા થાય. કેટલા ઇશ્યુઝ ડિસિપ્લિનમાં છે જ્યાં CA બાખડે છે. એક સીએ કે આને મારું કામ લીધું એને ઓછી ફી કરી નાખી, શું કામ આપણે ઝઘડવાનું? So then what is more important that we should call that CA and explain that this is what your client has told કે reason of this change. પણ fine, આપણે exactly પણ I would also want to understand from you, અને ક્લાયન્ટની ઈચ્છા છે તો આપણે change, then CA will say હા વાંધો નથી, that's okay, please go ahead. And believe me friends, this I have done and I have always received a very positive response even from the CA who is giving the client to us. કોઈને એકાદ ક્લાયન્ટ આવે ને જાય ને એવું કોઈ આપણું પેટું મારે હલતું નથી. આપણે એ લેવલના નથી કે એક સીએ એક ક્લાયન્ટ જાય કે ના જાય એમાં આપણે આપણું ધંધો બંધ જવાનો છે. ઇટ મે બી મટીરિયલ ક્લાયન્ટ, બટ ક્લાયન્ટે જવાનો જ છે. બટ વોટ ઇઝ ક્રિટિકલ થિંગ ઇઝ ધેટ આપણે જે બોન્ડિંગ છે ને આપણું એ સ્ટ્રોંગ થાય. CA ને એવું ના લાગે કે ભાઈ આપણે આવી રીતના કામ લેવા પડ્યા છે, અને then he will also follow same practice for others, and then the chain of the belief, change of unity will come into picture in all of us, and that is what is required when do we. So the change of process in my view is very critical. Have a conversation, have a communications, have to ensure the previous CA, my professional colleagues of fees which are genuine, are not unpaid. We should try and ensure that we should also explain to client કે આ જે fees છે એના વગર pay વગર હું નહીં લઈ શકું, એના વગર નહીં થઈ શકે, પ્લીઝ અને પે કરી નાખો. whatever may issues, એને કામ નથી કર્યું, agree not agree, I don't know about that thing, કામ કર્યું નથી કર્યું, બરાબર કામ નથી કર્યું, but you have credited, you have created liability in your books of accounts, so that liability need to be paid out by making payment, and that we should definitely try to help our professional colleagues. And then what will happen, that previous CA auditor will also help you to ensure a smooth transition. Client will also be happy, and we can also ensure that this kind of tradition should continue. So in my view, communication should be by heart communication, real communication should happen with the previous auditor. Appointment letter should be taken. Look at the independence. There's a standard of which talks about independence. So are you independent or not? That will look at, assess it, and then you have to issue a letter of engagement. So letter of engagement is what it is, just agreeing with the terms and condition. Terms and condition je che એના પર જેના પર આપણે agree થયા છે, all these terms and conditions should be clearly laid down to avoid any confusion. Let me see this. There may be some kind of comment and question here. Rajesh Bhai Parmar has asked question: in case of bank stock audit review, is it necessary to communicate with previous auditor who is a previous auditor in such audit? બેંક ના સ્ટોક ઓડિટ રેવન્યુ ઓડિટમાં એ જરૂર રાજેશભાઈ નથી, because that is the appointment which is done by the bank. It is not a statutory audit, but still let me check this point. I will cross verify once again. I will note it down this point, Rajeshbhai, and I will definitely get back to you on this. In my view, not required, but let me again go through and check it. Right. Coming next to the point, let us look at the planning and risk assessment part. So once we issue the letter of engagement, next part is on the planning and risk assessment. Client and business understanding. So before you carry out audit, I think most important thing, you to understand the business, and then you need to plan so that the work can be done. We should spend more time on planning. Planning is the most important thing, and the reporting is the most important thing. Planning, documentation, reporting, આ ત્રણ વસ્તુ એવી છે જે બહુ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ, અને એમાં પ્લાનિંગ ઇઝ સમથિંગ જે આખી વસ્તુના ટાઈમલાઇન્સ ને, આખી વસ્તુના ક્વોલિટી ઓફ ઓડિટ ને ડ્રાઈવ કરે છે. ઘણી વાર એવું હોય છે કે આપણે બેસિકલી શું કરીએ છીએ, કામ ચાલુ કરો, એટલે આર્ટિકલ લાસ્ટ ટાઈમ હતું એ પ્રમાણે કામ ચાલુ કર, છેલ્લે જોઈ લઈશું. પણ એમાં શું થાય કે રીવર્ક બહુ થાય છે. રીવર્ક બહુ થાય, એની અંદર ડિલે થાય, એમાં કન્ફ્યુઝન થઈ જાય, ટ્રેનિંગ ના થાય. સો something which is not compulsory is being ignored by us because we believe the time is not available. Standard of auditing is not there is no one to check on that, so we ignore it. Planning, if it is not done, who is going to ask me? I am the boss, so it is being ignored. But however, these are the few things which are very, very critical and important, that will definitely save a lot of time, and it will ensure that your team is focused towards what is required. They were clear as far as their goal is concerned, and then you get the result very fast and effective. Then comes the materiality, audit strategy, comes execution. So audit program need to be prepared, right? Then test of control and substantive testing. So I think these two things are being used as a very common words for audit. TOC and TOD, which has been very clear. I have also worked in one of the big four accounting firm in Mumbai for a couple of years. After I qualified as CA, and there are a few things which I admire, is that the process, the system, policy, and documentation. And I think that we need to really adhere to that things. આપણે જો આગળ જવું હોય, આપણે જો નવા કામ કરવા હોય, સિસ્ટમેટિકલી કામ કરવા હોય, ને ફ્યુચરમાં ઇશ્યુઝ ના હોય એવું કરવું હોય, તો documentation planning that we cannot ignore. So TOC, TOD એ વર્ડ મને છે ને એ વખતે કારણ હું ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ લાસ્ટ ફર્મમાં આપણે ઓડિટ કરવા ગયા તો મને કે TOC આપો, TOD આપો, TOD કર્યું, TOC કર્યું. સો આઈ વોઝ જસ્ટ કન્ફ્યુઝ કારણ કે નાની ફર્મમાંથી આર્ટિકલશીપ કરી હતી, એમાં તો કોઈ ટેસ્ટ ઓફ કંટ્રોલ નહીં, વાઉચર લેવાના, પછી છેલ્લા બિલો ચેક કરો, ટકા કરો અને કામ પતી ગયું. હવે આપણે બિગ ફોરમાં ગયા, ત્યાં આગળ ટેસ્ટ ઓફ કંટ્રોલ કરો અને ટેસ્ટ ઓફ ડિટેલ કરો. સો TOC TOD શું હોય? આપણે તો ઓડિટિંગ જ કર્યું છે, ઇનવોઇસ જોયા છે, ઇનવોઇસ જોઈને ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન કરી ચેક કર્યું છે. So then come to know the very important funda that there are always two very critical different processes which are important for any audit. What is a taste of control? મારું ઓડિટની સેમ્પલ સાઇઝ શું હોવી જોઈએ, મારે કેટલા સેમ્પલ કરવાના, કયા સેમ્પલ કરવાના, કેટલી કમ્ફર્ટ મને છે, એ બધું હું how can I select? I can select and I can understand only after I have comfort with the controls. So the taste of control is where I can select samples from the sales cycle, purchase cycle, inventory cycle, payroll cycle. After taking that samples, I do control assessments, and at the end of control assessment, if I feel there is no gaps, it gives me comfort that chalo bhai આટલા gaps નામાં નથી તો મારો sample size can be lower. Or if I identify there are few gaps in this control, then I am very much sure that મારે આ પ્રકારના sample select કરવા દે જેનાથી મને ખ્યાલ આવશે કે આમાં કોઈ issue છે તો બહાર આવી જશે. So the first point for any audit is to have a taste of control. And then taste of details, which is also called substantive testing, where it is called vouching, checking verification of vouchers, and then comparing the books of accounts. Substantive testing, taste of details, TOD. These two things are the heart of the execution part. Then it talks about handling the different audit procedure, which include subsequent events. મારું signing date અને જે ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટની ડેટ છે, ફાઇનાન્શિયલ યરની ડેટ છે, ફાઇનાન્શિયલ યરની ડેટ એન્ડ ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટ ડેટ, એ બંને છે ડેટની વચ્ચે જે ઇવેન્ટ છે, એ ઇવેન્ટ એવા હોય જેના કારણે જો કોઈ ઇમ્પેક્ટ મારા ફાઇનાન્શિયલ સ્લીપ પર હોતું હોય, so then I need to assess that. So subsequent event procedure is there. Going concern બહુ જ ક્રિટિકલ, બહુ જ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. કોવિડની અંદર આપણે બધા જોયું છે કે there are many industries which have been wiped out, there are many industries which are severely impacted. So is there any issues on going concern which affects my true and fairness? Then very important for all the cases which we have seen is the related party transactions. Related party transactions માં ઘણા issues હોય છે. ઘણા બેંકની લિમિટ પ્રમાણે મેનેજ કરવામાં, અથવા કંપની લિસ્ટેડ હોય તો એના રિલેટેડ રિઝર્વ્સ મેનેજ કરવામાં. Even in various scams everywhere we will notice that the transactions with the related party have been misused for the purpose of the window dressing, for the purpose of the rosy pictures. So the client where the related party transactions are very high, I think that is giving a red signal. We have to be very cautious about these transactions because it can completely change the real picture. I think Kuldeep ji has raised hand. Kuldeep ji, do you want to speak? You have any questions? Okay, fine. It may be by mistake the hand may be raised. So next part is on reporting, documentation, quality control, audit report. After doing the audit, the most important thing is for us is documentation. Documentation proper ના હોય ને તો બધું જ ફેલર છે. Quality control એ બહુ જ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. અને એટ ધ એન્ડ ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટ જે આપણે ખાલી સાઇન માટે કરીએ છીએ પણ એ ખાલી સાઇન નથી. ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટની અંદર જે શું લખ્યું છે, મારે ક્યારે એમ્ફેસિસ માટે કરવાની, મારે ક્યારે ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટ ક્વોલિફાય કરવાનો, મારે ડિસ્ક્લેમર ઓપિનિયન ક્યારે આપવાનું, મારે કીવર્ડ મેટર્સ ક્યારે આપવાનું કે નહીં આપવાનું, કયા મેટર્સમાં કીવર્ડ મેટર્સ લખવાના. આઈ થિંક એ તો હાર્ટ છે. જ્યાં સુધી આપણને ખબર ના પડે ત્યાં સુધી આપણે હાઉ કેન વી રિયલી યુઝ ધેટ. ઓડિટ રિપોર્ટ જે મારું સૌથી ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ વસ્તુ છે એને હું કેવી રીતના હું સાચું કરી શકું જો મને એ કેવી રીતે યુઝ કરું ખબર ના હોય. I think these are the few things which we all do agree. Now, આજે 4 પોઈન્ટ મેં લખ્યા. આ એક ઓડિટ પ્રોસેસ ફ્લો છે. હવે એ ફ્લો માં મેં સ્ટેપ બાય સ્ટેપ વાત કરી છે, પણ ઘણી ફર્મ આને કમ્પ્લીટલી ફોલો કરે છે. ઘણી ફર્મ આમાંથી ખાલી અમુક પાર્ટ એક્ઝિક્યુશન પાર્ટ જ કરે, જેમાં એ લોકો ખાલી ડોક્યુમેન્ટ ચેક કરે છે, અને ઘણી ફર્મ ખાલી સાઇનિંગ કરે છે. Now that is what we need to really improve. આપણે ક્યાં જવું છે અને આપણે શું કરી રહ્યા છે, એ બંનેનો જે ગેપ છે એ ગેપને ધીરે ધીરે આપણે ફિલઅપ કરવો છે. I also have to improve a lot from the project which I am doing it. તો હું આજે ક્યાં છું અને મારે ક્યાં જવું છે એનો એક ચાર્ટ બનાવીને આપણે એના શું ડ્રાઈવ કરવાનું છે. And who can drive? Drive only by somebody who is the person who is signing, because this is, you are the most affected person in all this procedure. જો તમને જ પડી ના હોય તો કોઈને પડી વાળ્યું. So I think we need to really come out with a plan, chart plan. How can I move from what today I'm doing to where it is expected, for which client I should start, for which client I can do later on. આખું જ પ્લાનિંગ કરીને let us discuss, have discussion, have deliberations within your partners, with your staff, with your articles about the importance of audit report, auditing standards. Have deliberations. More you discuss, more you deliberate, the more focus will change of that towards compliances. કારણ કે ડિસ્કશન એ જનરલી આપણે થતું નથી હોતું, સો એમના સુધી એ ભાવના આવી નથી. The emotions are not being there, the reasoning is not clear in that mind what is required. So a discussion deliberation is something which is required. I think એના પર આપણે ફોકસની જરૂર છે. Now coming to very important part, is giving you an overall view of assurance standards. Assurance standards are ASB, Assurance Standard Board, SB, ICIS divided into the two parts. One is assurance services, second is the related services. Related services જે છે એ SRS કહેવાય છે, standards on related services. જે assurance standards માં fall ના થાય, પણ assurance ના related services છે એને લોકોએ related services ની અંદર fall કરી છે. Assurance standards ની અંદર assurance can be of two parts. One, that is audit or review of historical financial statements. So when you're focusing on what a financial statement historical chair, that means it is already created. I'm not talking about a prospective, I'm not talking about provisional, I'm just talking about historical. It has already been done. I'm not talking about other than historical. And એના auditor review ની વાત કરું તો મારે એમાં શું કરવાનું? So we have two main things. One is a standard of auditing, second is review. Or focus to the historical financial statement which is already happened, and એમાં audit કરવું હોય તો standard of auditing જે 100 to 999. And if I'm not doing audit, I'm doing review. So I think you know the difference between audit and review. A review is not a like audit જે આગળ આપણી responsibility બહુ ઓછી છે. We are not to give it true and fair of financial statements. So review, then SRE 2002-2699. And then comes assurance engagement other than this, other than audit or review of historical financial statement. So એ બધામાં આવે SAE, standards on assurance engagement, where it includes a prospective financial statements જે આપણે વાત કરી SAE 3400. તો 3000 થી 3699 વચ્ચે જે આવે છે એ SAE 3400, which focuses on prospective financial statements. It also provides giving assurance on controls at service organizations, compilation of pro forma for prospects. So even information SAE 3000 to 3699 માં આવે છે. So આ એક overall understanding છે. So આપણે અત્યારે ફોકસ કરીએ છીએ standard of auditing SA 100 to 999. પણ એની જોડે આપણે SRE available છે for review engagement, SAE available છે for other assurance engagement, અને SRS available છે for related services. આ બધા સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ available છે એ આપણને ખબર હોવી જોઈએ. Now let us focus on કેટલા નંબર છે સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓડિટિંગ ના. કારણ કે જ્યારે પણ આપણે વાત થાય ત્યારે હું પૂછું AS કેટલા છે, તો એકાઉન્ટ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ્સ માં પણ મેજોરિટી લોકોને ખબર હોય કેટલા ES છે. આઈ મીન મેજોરિટી નોટ 100%. ઘણા બધા લોકોને ખબર હતી કે કેટલા ES છે. હું પૂછું ઇન્ડિયસ કેટલા છે તો મેજોરિટી ખબર હતી ઇન્ડિયસ કેટલા છે. અને હું પૂછું સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ કેટલા છે. ભાઈ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ તો જોયા જ નથી તો ક્યારે ખબર હોય. તો સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ કેટલા છે એ બી આપણે ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. સો there are total 38 essay which are right now effective and which need to be complied with it. That is general principles and responsibility standards. No standards છે એની અંદર છે risk assessments and response to assess risk, audit evidence, using the work of others, audit conclusion reporting. There are certain specialized area there. So આ જે ઓવરઓલ ચાર્ટ તમને આપ્યો છે એનો મેઇન ઓબ્જેક્ટિવ મારો એવો છે કે just to provide you a brief understanding કે આટલા કેટેગરીના સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ એ આપ્યા છે. આટલી કેટેગરીના સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગ એ આપેલા છે. તમને કોઈ ક્વેશ્ચન્સ હોય કે મારે ઓડિટ લેવું ના લેવું, ઇન્ડિપેન્ડન્સ શું છે, you go to 200 to 299. If ક્વેશ્ચન્સ કે મારે how to do planning, risk assessment કેવી રીતે કરવાનું, go to 300 499. ઓડિટ એવિડન્સીસ કયા હોવા જોઈએ મારી પાસે, શું રાખવાનું નહીં રાખવાનું, go to 500 599. તમે કોઈનો એક્સપર્ટ તમે રાખ્યો છે અને એનું કામ કરી રહ્યા છે, ઇન્ટર્નલ ઓડિટર છે, you are relying on internal auditor's report, then what is your responsibility on that? Go to 600 699. And audit report માં મારે કન્ક્લુઝન કેવી રીતે ડ્રો કરવાના, મારે ઓપિનિયન આપવા કેવી રીતે આપવાના, કી ઓડિટ માટે કેવી રીતે હોય છે, that look at the 700 to 799. So these are the modules which provide you the guidance over the very critical issues which generally arise in the standard in auditing. Let's have overall understanding of SRE, standards review engagement. એની અંદર આપણે જોઈએ તો basically we have SRE 2400 which talking about review of historical financial statements. તમે લિમિટેડ રિવ્યુ કરતા હો લિસ્ટેડ કંપનીની અંદર તો yes you are giving a review report, so you will look at SRE 2400 and SRE 2410. પછી આવે છે assurance engagement other than audit or review. તો other માં શું આવે, prospective financial state information જે આપણે વાત કરી SAE 3400. તો there is a standard of assurance engagement, the examination of prospective financial information. Please follow SAE 3400 and then you can basically give your report. Then assurance report on control at a service organization. Then compilation of pro forma financial information including the prospective information prospectus 3420. And then comes basically assurance engagement to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information. So that is 4410 is what there. Now coming to the standard of auditing, let us look at essays, which essays are there and how the standard of auditing are covered. So I am going to deal upon certain standard of auditing in detail, and there are few standards where I am going to just give you overall understanding and summary. So standard of essays where the color is blue, like the font size is blue, where I am going to deal separately in detail with separate slides. However, there are few standards like in black font. I will just give you overall understanding of the purpose of the standards and how can we really make use of these standards in our practical auditing engagement. So SA 200 is providing overall objective of the independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with the standard of auditing. Here we need to be aware that it talks about primarily about independence. If I am independent and what is my objective as auditor, મારે કેવી રીતે ઓડિટિંગ કરવું જોઈએ, એની જે પ્રસ્તાવના કહીએ ને પ્રીફેસ જેવું, that is been set out in SA 200. SA 210 is about a letter of engagement. I have briefly talked about the signing of letter of engagement. However, I will also discuss detail about a letter of engagement because in my view that is something which is critical and which we must start with it. Asset 220 is on quality control for an audit of financial statements. right? So basically asset 220 most important how as a firm, if I want to maintain quality of these financials of the audit, how can I maintain? ઘણી વાર એવું થાય કે there may be disputes as far as the certain issue is concerned. Your team is of this opinion, which is a different opinion than your engagement partner. And then if there's a conflict on certain technical issues or some points between engagement partner and the audit team, how can you assure that audit has been done with a quality, and who will do that? So that process of resolving this kind of should also be basically laid down clearly. And you can also look at the guidance which is provided under asset 220, which provides how to do that. Then next point is asset 230, that is audit documentations. Yes, so we are also going to discuss of separately on documentation part, because asset 230 is very important, very critical, that it has to be looked into part. Asset 240, 250, 260, we'll deal into that in a little bit understanding that asset 240 is on responsibility to fraud. આ બહુ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ વસ્તુ છે asset 240, કારણ કે જો કોઈ ફ્રોડ થઈ જાય અને તમે જો એપ્રોપ્રિએટલી કામ ના કર્યું, આપણે જો એપ્રોપ્રિએટલી કામ ના કર્યું હોય, તો શું મારી રિસ્પોન્સિબિલિટી છે? See, it is general, it is mentioned in auditor's report કે my objective is not to identify fraud. Obviously there is a lot of change as far as the expertise is concerned. આપણે I am a watchdog, હું તો ખાલી જોયા કરું. I'm there to just see કે ભાઈ થઈ રહ્યું. I am not there to go and check and verify કે ભાઈ કોઈ ખોટું check નથી. I am a watchdog, I am not bloodhound. So when I say I am not watchdog, I am not bloodhound, means હું તો ઊભો છું. મને હું ઊભો હું મને દેખાશે તો હું કહીશ, નહીં હવે તો નહીં કહું. But now the expectation is very high કે ભાઈ તું ઊભો છે તો તને દેખાયું કેમ નહીં? તું watchdog છે and you are standing on this gate, that how it is possible that thieves have entered the gate and you are not aware about that? So where there are issues of control, so we feel this is called bloodhound. But I think the what government says is not bloodhound, it is watchdog. You are sitting on you are standing at particular level, which is a control point, and some huge big lacuna happens. How you can say that you are just watchdog? As a watchdog also, you are supposed to ensure that you are supposed to sense. As a dog, you need to suppose to sense that this kind of things may happen or may not happen, or it is happening. So here it says that what is responsibility? First, in general, the auditor is not responsible. However, if something is closely related to financial statements, where if the auditor has dealt with this responsibility of verification of financial statements, and it is a just and natural that while carrying out this responsibility, the auditor is going to unearth the fraud. Had he has followed the procedure which is he is required to do that, then it is our responsibility. So I can say fairly that ભાઈ fraud મને ખબર ના પડે, પણ જો તમે auditing standards and normal procedure follow કરો અને એ normal procedure ની અંદર તમને ખબર પડી જાય એવું કોઈ fraud થયું હોય, then yes, you are answerable, because this is something which can come out. Like for example, in Satyam case, what happens that the bank statements નું જે વેરિફિકેશન હોય, bank deposit જે હતી એને cross check ના કરી, એની અંદર જે we rely on the statement which is provided by the staff. But however, there is a standard of auditing which provides you to get this kind of thing which has not been followed. So then the responsibility will basically increase on us. Primary responsibility is always with the management and those start with governance. However, as auditor, it is responsible to look at that something which is related to financial statements, which I am in a position to identify if I'm following that diligently, and if it's not done, then yes, I'm responsible for that. We just look at the annexure. There is also annexure 1 and annexure 2 provide the asset 240. You open asset 240. Let us open asset 240. I think Asset 240, if you look at, there are basically there's annexure 1 and 2 which is provided here, and then annexure 1 and 2, it provides you the factors which you can look at, and that will give you more guidance. I'm just opening these standards not with the objective that આ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે, બટ મારો ઓબ્જેક્ટિવ છે કે તમે એ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ જોવો. ઘણી બધી આપણે વાતો બહુ કરી હોય, પણ till the time you really look at the standards, you will not realize that what has been given to you. બહુ જ સરસ રીતના બધી જ વસ્તુ આપણને આપેલી છે. એ બધી વસ્તુઓને આપણે સમજવાની છે. એના માટે એકવાર સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓફ ઓડિટિંગને ઓપન કરવાનું છે, અને એ ઓપન કરીશું તો ફર્સ્ટ સ્ટેપ થઈ. Then second step will automatically follow if you open it. So my point is to drag you towards opening the standard of auditing. I'm sure that once you have a habit of going through the essay, you will definitely follow it and apply in your practice. So just look at this essay 240. Essay 240 is for what? Identifying and assessing risks of material misstatement through understanding entity and environment. 315 and 240, 240 છે 315 છે. એક જ મિનિટ. Okay, 240 છે, fine. So then identify and assess the risk of material misstatement in financial statements due to fraud. Obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence about the assessed risk of material statement. So then there's a definition of fraud. What is the requirement? You to follow professional skepticism. You to discuss among engagement team. Then comes the risk assessment procedure and related activities. What is being assessment risk is required from your side? Have you identified any unusual or unexpected relationship? Look at evaluate the risk fraud risk factors. Identify and assess risk of misstatement due to fraud. Then comes evaluation of audit evidence. આ બધું જ કર્યું, પણ તમારી પાસે એવિડન્સ શું છે? એવિડન્સ હોવો જોઈએ. You may be unable to continue because of the something which you have noticed. How to communicate? What is the responsible communication to the management, communication to the regulatory and enforcement authorities? Which documentation you should keep? પછી એમાં તમે જોશો ને, then there is also discussion with the engagement team, પછી risk assessment, inquiry of management. Then they explain A is what it is giving you in detailed understanding about how to handle that. Business rationale, analytical procedures you can perform in overall review financial statements. Unable to continue engagement, તો એમાં શું practical aspects શું થઈ શકે, એ આખું અંદર explain કર્યું છે. And then comes what the material modification to SISC is about addition, fine. And then let us look at the appendix 1. Appendix 1, which is provided in the essay 240, it will provide you examples of fraud risk factors. Primarily, the fraud happens because of incentive pressures, opportunities, and attitudes or rationalizations. It provides you risk factors like high degree of competition, high vulnerability to rapid changes, significant decline in customer demand. So this all provide guidance about, do you have these kind of issues in your clients? If answer is yes, you may have to go into detail. So that is a question which is provided under risk factors are provided under appendix A. Right? These are all. Then appendix 2 is there. It provides examples of possible audit procedures to address the assessed risk of material misstatement due to fraud. So possible audit procedures. Then it also provides you the guidance કે તમને જો risk આવ્યું હોય અને risk હોય તો what you should do it. You may alter audit approach. You may request the inventory count at the end. You may visit the locations. You may perform a detailed review at quarter end. Conduct interview of personnel involved. So it gives you guidance કે ભાઈ તમે and Appendix A provides us a list of the factors. If you feel yes, there are a few fraud risk factors are available, then what should be done? Look at Appendix B. It provides guidance કે તમારે આ કેસમાં શું કરવું જોઈએ. That you can follow. Then there is a guidance on specific response like revenue recognition. Your issues that revenue may be overstated or understated. How can you get comfort over that thing if you have some issues on revenue recognition? So that is, if you have some issues on inventory quantities, you are not sure that quantities are accurate or not, what should do it? Estimations, management has an estimation which may not be correct. How can you do that checking? So in this way, the standard of auditing provide you a lot of guidance. In my view, you can refer to the guidance to get more information. Then comes SA 250, that is on consideration with of laws and regulations in audit of financial statements. It says that the primary responsibility of auditor is not to prevent or detect some non-compliances. I have to prevent or detect some non-compliances, but I will just obtain a reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements. So that should be really done as a that we should obtain a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. That is what is been looking by SA 250 is concerned. SA 260 said communication with those charged with governance. TCWG is a short form. TCWG, those charged with governance. Now, TCWG means what? That it says that the communication should be a two-way approach. On one way, we say that money apo, information apo, fine. Second way is that in case if you come across some irregularities, some issues, in that case, you have to basically communicate with those charged with governance, means management, and that is the responsible auditor to involve and communicate in overall planning. Wherever some risks are be identified, it should be appropriately timely basis. It has to be shared with the client, and you should promote for effective two-way communications as far as audit is concerned. SA 299 is providing guidance on a joint audit of financial statements. It says that in case if a joint auditor, then the critical thing is that both auditors should be very clear as far as responsibility is concerned. There has to be clear demarcation as far as the responsibility is concerned. Obviously, the both auditors are responsible on true and fairness, but among both of them, there has to be a clarity as far as the particular part which is being audited by A and particular part which is audited by B, and that this user responsibility is very important, even though the both are both are responsible for true and fair of the financial statement in general. Then comes planning and audit of financial statements. I will focus on SA 300 also later on. 315 is focusing on identifying and assessing risk of material investment through understanding entities environment is very important. First part before you start is you would understand the entity's business. Without understanding the business, you cannot go ahead. So understanding the entity, understanding its business, understanding environment in which it operates, these are the few very critical parts. As a 320 is on materiality in planning and performing an audit. Then comes basically this auditor's response to assess risk. That is, in case if you assess that a risk available, what should be the response? How can you deal with that? What is the responsibility of every risk which is being assessed? Then auditor's response related to entities using a service organization, and evaluation of misstatements identified during audit. I think SA 450, which again says that in case if you identify some issues, some errors, then what is your role as auditor? How can you really so my focus of providing you overall understanding such that you are aware કે શેની અંદર ગાઈડન્સ આપ્યું છે. એકવાર આપણને છે ને ઇન્ડેક્સ ખબર પડે ને તો આપણે કેવી રીતે યુઝ કરવું એ કરી શકીએ. પણ ઇન્ડેક્સ જ ખબર નથી મને કન્ટેન્ટ ખબર નથી કે કઈ કન્ટેન્ટ અવેલેબલ છે, તો હાઉ કેન આઈ રિયલી યુઝ ધેટ? So this is just providing a snapshot of what is available. Once you know it is available, then second step is to go to detail and deal with the situation for which you have question. Then comes next part, that is audit evidence, where it says that the for selected items what should evidence taken? 501, 500, 505 is external confirmations. I know it's very critical, very important to take confirmation external. We'll discuss that also in detail. 510 is initial audit engagements, opening balances. જ્યારે ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ કોઈ ઓડિટ આવે ને ત્યારે તમારી જવાબદારી શું છે? ઇન જનરલ એવું માનવામાં આવે કે યાર મારી જવાબદારી તો આ વસ્તુ છે, ઓપનિંગ બેલેન્સીસમાં મારી કોઈ જવાબદારી નથી કારણ કે એ ઓડિટ બીજા ઓડિટરે કર્યું છે. However, here asset 510 provide the guidance કે તમે ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ ઓડિટ કરતા હો તો તમારે તમારી professional skepticism you also have to follow for the opening balance, and if you identify something is not correct you need to also change and give impact. So asset 510 it also provides your responsibility, what is the expectations when you move for a new audit engagements, that is being provided as a 510. As a 520, that is on analytical procedures. Very critical, very important to apply this because we have a short time, we have less time available for the audit. So this will provide you more information very fast, quickly. Audit sampling. Then as a 540 is where auditing accounting estimates. ઘણા ફાઇનાન્શિયલ્સમાં એવું છે કે એસ્ટિમેટ્સ બહુ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. ફોર એક્ઝામ્પલ I have made some provision, there is a law claim suits against me and I may be expected to share out some money, so I create a provision. Now provision is created by your estimation. Now estimation in that can be very material. I say that my estimation is that 10 crore rupees is the provided. However, after 1 year when the case was lost, I have to pay 100 crore rupees. So the estimate which have been used in that is also need to be audited by us. We cannot say straight away it is management estimates. Any estimate which has been taken, it need to be audited, verified, and it is to be seen that it is fair. Then I think our job is done. So auditing accounting estimates, including fair value estimates, also we need to look at our responsibility. 550 related party, as I mentioned earlier, yes, related party is something which is a cause for concern for a lot of people. So we need to be really see that if the higher the transaction with related party, higher is the comfort which we require, higher the procedure which we need to do it to ensure that these are not at the disadvantage of the company or stakeholders. As a 560 subsequent events, as a 570 is going concern, it just provide you guidance on going concern. If the company is going concern, then no issues, but if the company is not going concern, then there are a lot of issues on accounting point of view. How can you assess going concern? That is being covered in the SF 570. SF 580 is on a written representations. A very important thing which we should all start is a management review letter, MRN. ઘણી ક્લાયન્ટ આપણે ઘણી બધી વસ્તુ કહેતા હોય છે અને ક્લાયન્ટની કહેલી વસ્તુ આપણે માનીએ છીએ, સમજીએ છીએ, and then we go ahead. But the practice which is required, that we should have that is a writing. Management જે આપણે કે જેના પર આપણે બિલીવ કરીએ છીએ એ રાઇટિંગમાં હોવું જોઈએ. અને as a practice we should get signed when the financial statements are being signed. આજે ક્લાયન્ટ આપણે બધું કહે છે જેના પર આપણે રિલાયન્સ રાખ્યો છે, કાલે આઉટની ઇશ્યુ થશે ને તો ક્લાયન્ટ આપણે આવવાનું નથી. સો જ્યારે ફાઇનાન્શિયલ સ્ટેટમેન્ટ સાઇન થાય એ જ વખતે સાથે એમઆરએન પેજ મૂકી દો and get it signed from the management. As a 600 to 699, using work of others, which includes using work of intro auditor, another auditor, auditor's expert. Then SS 700 to 799, that is on audit reporting. Reporting will include 700 is on forming an opinion and reporting on financial statements. Then key audit matters, I think very critical, very important for all of us. Key audit matter in input audit report. Key audit matters calm is is not compulsory for unlisted companies. For listed companies, key audit matter is compulsory. For unlisted, it is voluntary. So in certain audit report, if you feel that disclosing this information is critical, even though you're not qualifying, you're not doing every matter, but still this information is what is very important for us to understand where you carry out some procedures. I think you should do voluntarily add a key audit matter paragraph in your audit report. Modification to opinion. If you don't give a general basic opinion, but if you want to modify the opinion, then that is covered in SS 705. 706 is on emphasis of the matter. See, I just want to like to draw one very important attention to each one of you. Key emphasis of matter is what? Very critical. Whenever you use emphasis of matter, you have to ensure that there is a reference to notes on account is compulsory. Emphasis of matter is what? Matter that is already included in financial statements. However, you want to put emphasis on that. You feel that this matter is critical for my stakeholders to understand. That is the reason why you want to put separate emphasis of this matter in your audit report. So SS 706 talks about that particular requirements. Then SS 710 is a complete information, corresponding figures and complete financial statements. 720 is the responsibility of other informations. So these are on all 700 to 799. There are specialized areas. So in case you are doing a special purpose framework, if you're doing for single file statements or summary file statements, so these are the very specialized kind of engagement which is very generally not done. However, in case if you come across, you can follow this procedure which have been mentioned under SAT 800 to 805 810. So this is overall understanding summary of standard of auditing. And now let us move to the few points which I feel are very critical for all of us to understand. And one of the very important point is the letter of engagement. Let us look at the letter of engagement, how it looks like. So I think ICI has provided a huge practicing material to every one of. There is a separate guidance, separate publication which is provided by the ICI, that is Practitioner's Guide to Audit of Small Entities. Dear friends, this is applicable to each one of us. ઘણી વખત આપણે એવું કહેતા હોવા જોઈએ કે standard of auditing are only for large size. No, that is not true. That is separate, simple way. The guide has been provided by ICI, that is Practitioner's Guide to Audit of Small Entities. So that is need to be really gone through and complied with it when we do compliances. So I have shared the link to this link to this guide in my presentation, but you can just search on ICI website. On that you can easily get it, which will provide you the model working papers. I have also included few model papers in my. I have taken certain points from these in a Word file and included in my presentation just to showcase this what is available already. You just use it. You don't have to do anything worry, just start using it. That is what we all look. Use only for one audit clients, not everyone. Start with one and then replicate that particular thing for other audit clients. Then specific for information about audit is applicability checklist, engagement letter, acceptance formality checklist, management revision letter. These all format are provided here. Time budget, planning and control. So understand client business, entity control, understand accounting process, general audit programs, analytical procedure in planning the audit, assessment risk, materiality, performance materiality, identification of material transactions, account balance and disclosures, permanent file update, fraud risk questionnaires. We talk about asset 240. Asset 240 provides you the guidance of assessment and identification of fraud risk. You look at Appendix E, Appendix A, Appendix B. Now there is a questionnaire is provided to you. If you want to use it, you just use it questionnaire. Fill up the answers and you have all documentation ready. Then look at this audit program provided to you. अगर आपको चेक करना है टेंजिबल असेट्स, जो तुम्हारे इंटेंजिबल असेट वेरीफाई करવું હોય, ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ ચેક કરવું હોય, ઇન્વેન્ટરી ચેક કરવું હોય, ડિટેલ્સ ચેક કરવું હોય, આ બધું શું છે? These are nothing but the tools which is provided to you, all of you. You can give this to your article staff and ask them to really comply with these requirements. Cash and bank balances, capital reserves, liabilities. Then if you're doing audit of revenue, if you're doing audit of expenses, then how can you do it? Working papers, progress sheet. You've been given a format of progress sheet. Audit declarations, matters for partners' attentions, summary memorandum, summary of unadjusted errors, financial statement reviews, subsequent checklist. Look at the things which is provided to you, everything. Then appendix provides you a standard for auditing checklist, control sheet, illustrated letter of confirmation of inventories, illustrated letter of confirmation from account receivables, illustrated letter of confirmation of deposits held as securities, disclosure requirements related to investment, disclosure requirement to MSME, specific letter of appointment for audit of NPO, specific letter of NOC, illustrated letter of communication previous auditor, specific letter of management MRL, quantitative guidance for checklist for NC. આટલી બધી વસ્તુઓ તમને આપેલી છે અને આનાથી વધારે what more you expect? I think only one thing which is required, that's why we are here, to create awareness of what is available, awareness of why it is relevant, awareness on how can you take a step ahead in the direction of compliance. That is what we all expect from each one of you. So coming back to the letter of engagement which I have just opened for your case, you need to really include the responsibility of auditor. You need to also include the responsibility, objective, scope of the audit, then responsibility of management, and these then basically also look at specific points regarding fees, billing, terms and conditions. They all should be very clear. So once a letter of engagement is signed, there should not be any doubt as far as this is concerned. I will just share my experience, recent experience, which I'm just also going on. That the client asked us to provide us one particular activity, and we said, fine, this activity we can do it, and this is our fees. Client said, fine, we are okay with the fees. We started doing one part of the activities, and then client has many questions. Before that, we provide them the draft letter of engagement to sign. Now, before the client signed letter of engagement, he was trying to contemplate that whatever he has done is right or wrong. સ્કોપ જે આપ્યો છે બરાબર છે, ફાઇનલ છે ને? કારણ કે એકવાર સ્કોપ સાઇન કર્યો પછી હું કઈ એડ કરીશ તો ચાલશે નહીં. એકવાર મેં ફીસ નક્કી કરી સાઇન કરી, then it's confirmed, I cannot do anything. So then he started thinking in his mind which he has not done earlier. And when he started thinking, there are many things which are not thought earlier. It's come to mind. Why he started thinking? Because he will sign some piece of paper. Because he feels that ato final jo bind thi jasu. Then his thinking process start at the next level, and then if he has any disputes, it can be resolved at this time. Earlier is always better. So that's why my letter of engagement is something is critical, crucial, which we should always do it. Then comes SA 230 audit documentation, where it talks about that. If I just share my experience, કે જ્યારે હું એક ફર્મમાં મેં જોબ કરતો in one of the large big four accounting firm where I was doing a job in Bombay, and very important word which I have learned from that, which I'm today also applying in my audit practice. They clearly said one thing: no documentation means no work done. No documentation means no work done. જો તમે documentation ના હોય એનો તમે કે કામ નથી કર્યું. How can you justify your signature if there is no documentation? અને આપણે small firm શું થાય છે કે everybody is expert. Everybody believes કે એને best કામ કર્યું છે and he has done better than the earlier one. અને બધી જ વસ્તુ એ સમજી રહ્યો છે, બધી વસ્તુને ખબર છે. તો અને બધી વસ્તુ થાય માઇન્ડમાં થાય. મેં એને પૂછ્યું, મેં 4 ક્વેશ્ચન પૂછ્યા, ક્લાયન્ટને સારું લાગ્યું. મેં 4 ક્વેશ્ચન પૂછ્યા, ક્લાયન્ટે આન્સર આપ્યા. મેં કહ્યું બરાબર નથી, આ બરાબર છે. Then we agreed, fine. મેં આ બી જોયું, મેં પેલું બીજું બધું જ જોયું મેં. Because and that particular person believes that he has done wonderfully everything and he is the master. But however, he has not maintained anything because he believes that yaar main je karu chhe perfectly barabar છે, there is no need to maintain. But whatever he has done may not be sufficient. Whatever he has done may not be technically correct. Whatever he has done is not something which is required by the signing partner. So no documentation means no work done. તમે ભલે કામ કર્યું હોય પણ જ્યાં સુધી એ પેપર ના પર ના દેખાય, જ્યાં સુધી એ વસ્તુ ફાઇલ ના હોય, એ ઈ કે ફિઝિકલ ફાઇલ ના હોય, એના પેપર્સ ના હોય, ત્યાં સુધી એ કામ કર્યું નથી. That has to be clearly laid down to everyone in your firm. Plus that documentation also helps the next year. Next year ની જે ટીમ હશે એમને એ documentation થી ખબર પડશે આપણને કામમાં આવે છે, કાલે ઉડે રિસ્ક થાય તો ટીમને કામમાં આવે છે as a training tool. Next year they also understand કે કામ કરવું જોઈએ. Supervisor review માં ખબર પડે છે. So I think this is something which is a must and we should have practice to follow that rigorously. Comes audit evidence. Audit evidence is what that, see, ઘણી ક્વેશ્ચન એવું થાય કે એવિડન્સ અને ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન ડિફરન્સ શું છે? Documentation is a part of evidence. So the objective of auditor is to design and perform audit procedures in such a way as to enable to obtain SAAE, that is sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. So objective of auditor is to ensure that any audit procedure with design થવી જોઈએ કે sufficient appropriate audit evidence હોવું જોઈએ. Sufficient is by way of the quantity, કે મેં જેટલા એવિડન્સ લીધા છે, numbers are they okay? Appropriate means relevant and reliable. So whatever audit evidence I collected, first, are they sufficient? Second, are they relevant and can I rely on that or not? That is very important thing. Just compiling papers, just making the file bigger and larger doesn't solve any issues. It only is dampening my objective. I feel that I have collected huge documentation, however it may not be appropriate, it may not be relevant, it may not be reliable because અડધા document લીધા હોય, final ના કર્યો હોય, એમાં noting ના હોય, sufficient બી ના હોય, જે જોઈએ એ લીધું ના હોય, તો quality proper ના હોય. So I think that is what is very critical, and that SF 500 provides you guidance how to deal with that situations. SF 300, that planning and an audit of financial statements. So planning bહુ important છે, and I think બધા જાણે છે કે well plan is half done. If you are able to plan appropriately, your half way you are already reached. So this is again we need to really be very very critical, and આપણે બધાએ આમાં planning ની અંદર we have to play a huge role. In my view, the partner, engage a partner and main person's role is critical when you plan. Planning હશે તો ફોકસ પર કામ કરીશું, કઈ વસ્તુ મિસ આઉટ નહીં થાય, રીવર્ક નહીં થાય, અને એના ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન કેવી રીતે કરવા જોઈએ, હાઉ ટુ આઇડેન્ટિફાઈ રિસ્ક, એ બધું થશે. તો આઈ થિંક ધ પ્લાનિંગ ઇઝ વોટ ઇઝ અ વેરી ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ થિંગ. અને યુ વુડ બિલીવ કે લાર્જ સાઇઝ ફર્મમાં પ્લાનિંગ માટે they spend 30% to 40% of time only in planning. આપણે શું છે, પ્લાનિંગ કરતા નથી, પ્લાનિંગ ટાઈમ નથી આપણી પાસે. we spend more time કામ કરો, ચેક કરો, એ કરાવો તે કરો, પણ પ્લાનિંગ કરતા નથી આપણે. So we should spend time. If we spend time, we are going to actually save lot of rework and lot of unnecessary thing which is happening. So 40% of time should be spent on planning. 40% may not be basically correct, but you may do go with 30%, 20%, but the objective is that to give importance of planning is very important. Next, materiality in planning and performing an audit. So આપણે જ્યારે opinion આપે છે, then we provide it is a true and fair. So true and fair જ્યારે opinion હોય, એ વખતે basically આપણે એ જોવાનું છે કે I cannot check everything under sun. I cannot check it. It is not possible. My objective is to have good true and fair view. So materiality is the concept which has been well laid down, well accepted across the global, but we need to follow the standard of materiality. We need to look at the performance of materiality, and materiality need to be revised as and when it is required. Coming to SF505, external confirmations. Dear friends, the confirmation external is very critical, and we all have understood its importance after Satyam case. Confirmation external can be positive confirmation or it can be negative confirmation. Positive confirmation is where you are looking for everyone to respond whether they agree or disagree. Even they agree, they need to give confirmation. It's a positive confirmation. While in negative informations, you say that our balance se mara pramane, our balance mat, if you feel it is not in agreement, you give me a reply. આપણે ખબર છે કે કોઈ જોતું નથી, કોઈ રિપ્લાય નહીં આપે, so I can safely assume કે ભાઈ આ એક compliance માં છે. So this is called a negative confirmation. In my view, negative confirmation should be avoided. First priority should be always given to positive information. Again, in most of the cases માં reply આવતા નથી હોતા. Coming to next part, SF520, that is analytical procedures to obtain relevant and reliable audit evidence when using a substantive analytical procedures to design and perform procedures near the end of the audit. So analytical procedures ની અંદર most important છે કે basically આપણે એનું ઓવરઓલ એનાલિટિકલ રિવ્યુ કરવાનું છે, અને એના વડે કેવી રીતે કરવાનું એનું ગાઈડન્સ એમાં આપ્યું છે. સેમ્પલિંગ જ્યારે લઈએ, ઓડિટ સેમ્પલિંગ, એમાં મોસ્ટ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે કે how much sampling you should take, how to take sample. You can also go by statistical sampling method, or you can also go by random sampling method. But sampling જે બી આપણે કરીએ, that we need to document appropriately. SF550, that is on related parties. A basically give guidance ke, as I mentioned, the most critical part is the related parties. ઘણી વાર જે છે ને એ કેસની અંદર the funds are diverted, transferred basically by way of the related party transactions. So the standard of auditing SF550, it says that you should obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence about the related party relationship and transactions, and are they appropriately accounted for and disclose information. That is what the objective and SF 550 provide guidance. SF 580 talks about MRL. As I mentioned, that management representative MRL that is to be obtained. So in my view, what should be done at the first level? We should have a practice of obtaining written representations from the management. Whatever they are given in oral, we should take them in the writing, and these are the few points where documentation can be done. Then comes a key standard of auditing on audit report. I think that we have to take care that SS 700, for me opinion, it doesn't provide you the audit report format. Communication audit report format apo. Every year I'm also sending the audit report format. Itla made ये भूले जो कोई भूल ना दे जाए. Audit report જે change થાય ને ત્યારે બહુ જ critical છે to create awareness, because ઘણા કેસમાં આપણે જોયું છે કે audit report format change થતો નથી, એ last year નો copy paste કરેલો હોય, copy paste ને save કરેલો હોય. So માવો કારો થી જે કારો આવ્યો ને ત્યારે પણ એવું થયું કે માવો કારો was continued for even next 2-3 years. Even the માવો કારો was not there. કારો change થયો અને તો કારોનો report change થયો ના હોય. તો ઘણા બધા cases છે. So we have to be cautious concerned as far as the audit report is concerned. SS 701 key audit matters come, as I mentioned you earlier, that key audit matter is something which says that it is compulsory for a listed company. But in my view, the key audit matter should be followed even for a private limited companies. કારણ કે જે significant matters છે, even though you are not giving qualification, but still if you feel this need to be covered, so you can cover by of the key audit matters in your audit report. Format audit report નું છે બધાને ખબર છે. Common mistakes જે હું આમાં કવર કરવાની એ છે કે ઘણીવાર you are not writing FRN number is compulsory. પછી the wordings of audit report એ exactly જે audit report માં આપ્યા હોય ના લીધા હોય. You may use the word examine, but word actually એ examine ની audited word હોય. તો જે audit report format, paragraph, word, sentences should exactly as per the SS 700. Subjective word use કર્યો હોય પણ qualification ના હોય. So subjective word ક્યારે use કરવાનો, કેવી use કરવાનો, emphasis matter હોય પણ reference note ના હોય. So these are the few things which we observed in as a issues in auditor's report. Then comes COVID-19 related. I think this is now not so much relevant, because in my view we are out of COVID-19, hopefully. No one knows what can happen in the future. But yes, at this juncture, I feel that we're out of COVID-19. So this is what we need to really. There are few standards which provide you a lot of guidance on COVID-19 related subsequent events, going concern, communicating key audit matters in auditor's report, then auditor's evidence for selected items, auditor's response to assess risk. This should be taken into consideration on top priority. Lot of material has been provided by ICI, and my view is that basically please spare some time, have an interaction, have a discussion within the partners, have a discussion with your audit team, have a discussion with your staff articles about the standard of auditing. They'll appreciate, the article will appreciate, yes, they are learning on these things. These things are critical. Have a submitting of articles where you can ask articles to take initiative on audit standards. Have a project in your firm where how can we comply with standard of auditing? How can we apply standard of auditing in one of the clients? That's a project. Complete compliance, and give this project to one of articles. And there are various resources available. That resource will be useful to you in compliance with standard of auditing. One of the most important which I have already shown is a practitioner's guide to audit of small entities. Sample checklist on standard of auditing. Ready reference on engagement quality control standards. Bare standards of engagement quality controls. Background materials for audit training. Handbook of auditing pronouncements. MCQs on engagement quality control. I think એટલું the material institute આપેલું છે, પણ એ મટીરિયલ ને વાપરવાની જવાબદારી આપણી છે. And I must congratulate the VKCPE convener, deputy convener, and all the team banners to take this particular point ahead. And I can see there are more than 125%, 130 members have joined with the hope to understand standard auditing. But our efforts are in vain till the time we really apply in our office. ICAI has made it compulsory because we want to ensure that this topic is required to be followed rigorously by every CA. If it is not done, the days are not far where we may lose our brand image. Everybody start. We will start from where we are today. I also want to start. Everybody start. So, in my view, this is ICAI's taken initiative to ensure that everybody should pay attention towards compulsory standard auditing. VKCPE has taken initiative to ensure that you are able to create awareness by way of the seminar here. I am there to provide you some path to ensure that you take up. But the only request that please take this initiative ahead by complying, taking discussion ahead with your audit partners, your staff, and at least start with one client where you can comply with standard of auditing 100%. Take this project in a firm. I am there to support. We have the background material of ICAI publication which provide guidance, checklist. Ready-made checklist is available. You just fill up that. If you do for one client, 1 year, I'm sure that that is the beginning, and then over the period, you will take it to the next levels. So before I end and I take it, hand over charge to the convener, deputy convener of this circle, last sentence which I want to mention is that compliance with the standard of auditing is a compulsory, is a mandatory by law, because you are Act says that, ICAI says that it is compulsory. But however, in my view, it is highly recommended for our own safeguards. You are signing on something which is nothing but a standard of auditing. So for our own selves, there's need to really take a step in these directions. And with this, I'm my best wishes to each one of you for a compliance of the standard auditing in whatever respect which you can do it. And any questions, any suggestions, I am there. Hand over charge to Sanjay B and the team.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge. Any member have any question regarding this topic? Then please unmute their mic and ask question. Otherwise, we go ahead for conclusion of this session with a vote of thanks. Any member have any question? Please unmute their mic. Rajesh sir ने कोई question હોય तो राजेश सर પાસે question હોય ઓડિટ બહુ વધારે કરે ને સર એટલે
રાજેશ ભાઈ એ મને છે ને પૂછી બી લે છે ક્વેશ્ચન, એમને ક્વેશ્ચન્સ નો આન્સર મને આપવાનું બાકી છે.
સર એક ઓડિટ રિલેટેડ પ્રેક્ટિકલ ક્વેશ્ચન પૂછું છું.
હા,
જો તમે સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ ઓડિટિંગ નથી. સર એક સવાલ એવો હતો, આપણે 269 એસએસ અને ટી ની અંદર એકાઉન્ટ પે ચેક, બેંક ડ્રાફ્ટ અથવા આપણે એનઈએફટી આરટીજીએસ થી પેમેન્ટ કરી શકીએ છીએ, બરાબર છે?
હવે હું જે ટેક્સ ઓડિટ માં એટલો એક્સપર્ટ નથી હું.
અચ્છા સોરી ટેક્સ ઓડિટ નો સબ્જેક્ટ ની અંદર. હા, તો પછી નહીં પૂછું તમને, તમે કહો તો નહીં પૂછું.
But you can, I will try my best. I'm not sure on that.
એટલે એમાં હવે મારો ક્વેશ્ચન એવો હતો સાહેબ કે ઘણીવાર કેવું હોય કે કોઈ રિલેટેડ પાર્ટીઝ હોય એટલે એની અનસિક્યોર્ડ લોન હોય છે, તો આપણે ઇન્સ્ટેડ ઓફ પેમેન્ટ બાય બેંક વી આર પેઇંગ બાય ધી જેવી. સમજો કે મારા ફર્મમાં લોન હોય છે, બરાબર છે, તો મને બાય જેવી એ પેમેન્ટ કરી આપે છે. તો જે આપણે જે શેડ્યુલ હોય છે કે પેમેન્ટ બાય એકાઉન્ટ વિથ ચેક, તો ત્યાં યસ લખવાનું કે નો લખવાનું? જો નો લખીએ તો નો લખીએ ઇટ મીન્સ કે અધર દેન ચેક, so it means by cash implied એવું થાય.
ના see other than account pay check means anything. એમાં cash લખવું જરૂર નથી. The A269 is very clear. Whether the payment is done, whether it is settled other than account pay check, answer is yes, because you have not made any account pay check. So then cash છે એવું જરૂર નથી.
નહીં તો there are chances કે assessing officer might be taking the other views. કારણ કે
Chances
there
છે.
are I read the two high court judgment છે, એક બોમ્બે હાઈકોર્ટ અને બીજા હાઈકોર્ટ નું હતું કે જેના કારણે ઇસ્યુ ચાલે છે એમ, એટલે
Yes.
મેં કીધું કદાચ તમે કોઈ એમાં કહી શકો તો
ના
એમ.
એટલે અમારે આ પોઈન્ટ ડિસ્કશન થયો તો મારા જે એક and then we take it very clear that the wording is very clear other than account paying check. It is not saying it is by cash. If the question is that is it being settled by cash, then it's very easy. It's other than account paying check. So even though you settle by journal entry, the answer should be
ઓકે,
yes.
મતલબ એ અલાઉડ છે એમ, અધર જનરલ એન્ટ્રી બાય અલાઉડ છે?
ના allowed નથી. Yes, તમે yes કરો means it is not allowed.
ઓકે 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 ઓકે, સમજાઈ ગયું.
રાજેશભાઈ તમે છે ને તમે ક્વેશ્ચન પૂછો ને આન્સર ની અપેક્ષા તમારા રેકોર્ડ ઉપર રાખો છો. અરે હું જો ભૂલી જો સામે વગર હા હા
સોરી
પડી
સર,
તો પતી ગયું.
સર ઇટ ઇઝ અબાઉટ ધ ઇન્ટરપ્રિટેશન ઓફ ધી સેક્શન, બરાબર છે. અને તમારાથી વધારે કોઈ ગાઈડ ના કરી શકે, એટલે મને પ્રેક્ટિકલ જે ડે ટુ ડે માં મને જે ફેસ થાય એમ ક્વેશ્ચન કર્યો, માઇટ બી ઘણા ને આપણે કોઈ પૂછતી.
ના ના 100% I this common question must be yes.
Okay, thank you all member. We go ahead for lot of thanks. With my great pleasure on behalf of VKCPE Study Circle, I would like to give a bunch of thanks to an eminent speaker, CA Chintan Patel ji. Sir, as you sharing your valuable knowledge on important topic of significance auditing standard, includes updation of auditing and guideline for CA in signing document, also need of auditing standard and audit process flow, which is most important of all the CA professional colleagues. Sir, this valuable knowledge is very much useful to all the member in their professional work, and a very lightful session for our study circle. And we look forward to having your other session in our study circle on another topic in future also. At last, I thankful to all the member present over here to make bright and shiny this whole session. Once again, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much Sanjay for the opportunity.
Thank you sir. Sir, તમારું chat માં તમારો membership number એક લખી આપજો.
મૂકી દો.
Any member have not write down their membership number and name for CPE purpose, please write down their membership number and name. Thank you sir once again.
Yeah, thank you, bye.
Okay, thank you sir. Atul bhai.
Yes Sanjay bhai.
Thank you sir.
Are thank you bhai.
Member, please not I end up this session here.